EdTech companies are there or technology people are there. I just wanted to request all of them to create to create a system where every child of every village should be benefited, not only the people or student from the families who can pay some 50,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees for a year. So I just wanted to give an example. I just was reading, I think 3 4 days back, I reading about physics wala. It is recently they have become unicorn. So they are giving IIT JEE coaching or NEET entrance examination coaching just for 3,500 rupees for the full year. So I believe, and I just wanted people from all of us should come forward for the education of the children of those areas. Purely Hindi speaking lectures are there because 70% of the country understands Hindi. So that is the future. That should be the future of technology and the education, which should reach to the lowest and lowest of the lowest segment of the society. One thing. Second thing, now as the online school education board is there into existence. Kanak, online school education board is there into existence. So I think people should create a platform where teachers sitting in Delhi or any big city can take the lecture, and there should be some small setup in the villages, and there should be a centralized lab system where the children of the villages should go and have the practical examination and all that. So we need to create that kind of ecosystem if we wanted to educate our country, not the B and A grade cities. So this is the thing what I visualize for the next decade. I think someone will come out and it will happen. One thing. Second thing, you were talking about the quality of education, how the technology can be used to maintain the quality of education in chain of schools. You run a chain of schools, I run a chain of school, even um, uh, Rekrit runs a chain of a school, but the difference is only you and me have geographical larger geographical areas to cater, and Rekrit some in Punjab only. So when we talk about the quality of education to be maintained in our franchise schools, it's very difficult because uh, when we choose the franchisee, we choose with right intentions. We choose with the franchisee who can replicate the ethos and the systems what we wanted to maintain in our schools. But in some cases, it didn't happen. In that case, technology helps a lot. In all the cases, technology helps a lot. So we have, I believe, every chain of the schools have their own technology platform to monitor what kind of quality is delivering in those franchise schools. One thing. Second thing, it is very important for the franchise chain of schools to be directly in touch with the parents, directly in touch with the teachers, not only the promoters or center heads or principals or coordinators, with the teachers, because teachers are the one who will deliver the quality of education, and the parents are the right people who can answer your question what kind of quality they are receiving. So it is very important, and in my case I directly remain in connect with the parents. I don't do anything else because now Sneha and Abhishek is taking forward the business. I just maintain my relationship with the parents, and whenever I visit the branches, I speak with the franchisee and center heads less, and I speak more with the teachers and parents. So this is the only way to maintain the quality of education in chain of schools. What I believe.
Fantastic. I'm so happy that you're, Rathorji, laying down a vision for all of us for the future. Uh, I think you and I have spoken about it, that, it's about time that we also start thinking in regional languages. It's important to have that. And One thing that I'm taking out of your remarks is that, this is not the era of competition, but this is the era of collaboration. Everyone needs to collaborate with each other. As educators, we would need to collaborate with teachers. One thing we all strongly believe in, that, upskilling of teachers is very important, what Rathorji highlighted as well. Thank you so much for your remarks. I've written some more points and I'll come back to you. Uh, things are coming to you. You work in also very diverse geographies. Do you want to share with us your experiences with technologies in these geographies as well?
Thank you so much. Today is a very great platform where I would like to share how technology can create wonders in education. And I'll start from my time when I became principal first time in early 90s. Then technology was nowhere. I mean, even computers were not in the schools. And those times when I started one audio visual lab in my school, and that also with the help of my old students from Sanar, not from the school funds, I was charge sheeted by the school's management that what this you brought audio visual lab in 1992. It was a big thing, a new thing, perhaps first time in India, because people from Delhi and Mumbai also came to see what was the audio visual lab in Gaya. So I was charge sheeted, and I had to explain to the committee, the DAV college managing committee, that tomorrow some time will come when you will like and you will appreciate that. After 5, 6 years, they sent another letter to all the schools of the country that everybody should visit Gaya and should have an audiovisual lab on a smaller scale. So that was the thing when I saw that schools, though not coming from school background, basically I was a manager, technology has to be taken care of. I learned from that example in 1994. When the time came of this mobile phones, and the messaging was started, I was the first person in the country to start sending messages about the children's presence, absence, and their homework. At that time, every text message was costing 8 rupees. You can imagine how daring task on the part of a principal. 8 rupees per day, sometimes 16 rupees per day for one child, when the fee was 300 rupees, 250 rupees. But that messaging not only saved one period of my school, of every teacher, but it brought a revolution in the whole of the area, that can children get homework by message? And started. Slowly the rates came down. I hired a company from Delhi, CALS, and they started, even very costly, 60 rupees per child per month. When today, when we think about 60 rupees per child per month, even we think twice when fee is 5,000. But in those times, with less than 500 fee, I dared to have that 60 rupees per child per month. And the messaging system roared in my area. When the children reached home, their home, the parents used to show, see, your homework has come. We know you cannot now say that the homework was not given. I was unable to copy down the homework. This is all with us. So that was the time when I forced and I rather motivated my parents. Every parent should have the phone. That getting motivated by, because the number of admissions were more than, you put 5, 6 schools together, my schools of admission were more than them because of 1, 2 innovations. I started one thing, that every parent has to have, the admission will be taken only of that child who will be having one computer at home. And it happened in a backward city of the country where only parents used to buy computers because they wanted admission in cantonment area. Computer was a must. You have to show the bill, and a physical verification was done before the admission. And that was in such a state, such a city where power was not 24 hours. It was hardly 20, 12 hours. their innovation worked. Everywhere, wherever I got an opportunity to serve school and education, I found that not only it helps in education, the technology, but not only it improves your quality, but it creates a craze in the market. That school is updated with the technology. And the same way, when those schools who came forward during COVID times and they were ready, they have been appreciated. I'll give one example. People say, and you may be all being the head of the schools, you all are knowing that many schools have been suffering because of fees not coming, because we have half fee coming and 75 collections have been low. In my school, and I give credit not only my teachers and the principal, my principal, but the technology also, that the collection has been more than 100% during the COVID times, because the technology really flowered during these 2 years. The technology has taken such a shape that every child is in the lap of every teacher. The more knowledge about the child, everything teachers now remember in their cell. Every, everything they have all the time ready. And the ready teacher is always worshipped in the society. So today, when I asked the account department how it can be 100.02% collection during COVID times, then my accountant said that 20,000 was due pre-COVID time. That also has come. Remember, technology is going to play, has been playing very great in past also and future also. Technology will play. Now, schools have opened. So many days have been lost. I started a thing that there'll be Sunday classes for the parents. New thing, we are training the parents in technology. Half of them are coming. They are coming, they want to learn that how much we can more contribute to the education of the students out there. Oh, parts. I recently have had an agreement with now this Brain Wonders, this DMIT recently in my schools. I am currently having only 2 schools, but in both the schools, and I'm 100% sure, the way my 5-6 innovations, technological advancements have supported me, this time also I am going to be a winner, because we have started only and a lot of appreciation has started pouring in. Because once a child is known by the parent, by the teacher, that what is the potential in him or her, things become so easy. When you know the child, no, after experimentation, if you know after 5-6 spoiling so many years and you know that child was made for something else, then you have only words to regret, nothing else. So better we are going, though it's very costly, it's not easy to afford, but yes, we are going, that yes, we are starting for every child, that let the parent come, let the child be assessed as per modern technology, including the MIT and some more assessment performance also we are having, and then train them. 20% time has been carved out only for their special traits. The academic classes are only for 80% time. 20% for, as earlier in 90s, we used to go for hobby classes. Students used to be segregated in different sections of hobbies, skills. Right now, we are planning to have 20% classes for their trades. The thing which they come on earth with. I mean, if God has sent them here, they must be having something special. And that DMIT made it clear. And we have to train them. We have to flower them. We have to help them. We have to guide them so that they need not to wonder where to go and how to prepare about their life. So that way, not today, not yesterday, in every time in future also, technology will play a great role, and the schools who will be ready for next level of technology will survive, will flourish, and others who will kept waiting will be the bank benchers. That is the role of technology. Thank you so much.
Superb. Thank you so much. Sir, जब आपने बोला कि आपके स्कूल की 100% फी कलेक्शन है, everyone's eyes lit up. They are going to chase you during coffee break कि आपने कैसे किया. A master class from you, but to to summarize as to, what you said, that, it's not technology that is replacing pedagogy or teachers in the classroom. It is teachers who use technology better who are replacing teachers who have a resistance towards technology. That is something that I could take out of what you were saying. I wanted to go reverse order questions as well, and I noted a lot down. But Sandeep tells me that we are running short on time. But Sandeep, I'm going to allow 2 questions from the audience because, ladies and gentlemen, you have the wisdom of close to 500 schools sitting on stage. I think we should make the best use of the opportunity that we have. Kudos to the organizers for getting such an erudite crowd and such an erudite panel as well. For an in-person event, I think this was very much required. I think the gentleman in the front had his hand up first. Sir, if you have your question, and if someone can give him a mic, please, and then the lady at the back. So please be very, very specific. Please introduce yourself and please be very specific with your question.
Sir, here you.
That's good morning. That's Trevor Brown from Jodhpur, the DWPS Jodhpur. And you already put the limit on to my question and how long it needs to be. We've been talking about technology and how technology can be a part of education. And I've been into this for quite some time. It's now 35 years into schooling. And I'm an IT-friendly principal. 2020 did make a change. And yes, technology is going to be there and will be there in the future. But there is something that I would like to just try and throw light upon, and would like the panel on stage to pave the way forward. They have changed. They are in the driving seat. 2022 helped that cause. Today, a learner has the opportunity to know exactly, to find out where to learn, what to learn, how to learn, and where to learn, and from who to learn from. And we are all principals and promoters and owners and educators and leaders, and we deal with schools. So this is what is going to be the challenge of the future. And I would like you to throw light upon, because I believe that it is the content, the process, and the product that makes all the difference. So if you could throw light upon that, how the schools and the promoters and the leaders, as well as teachers, I think there are quite a number of them here this morning.
Right.
The way forward, to how to help the learners of today and tomorrow.
So from what I'm understanding, and I'll just summarize your comments, sir, in form of a question. Essentially, what you're saying is that, the learner profile has changed. We are looking at technology being all pervasive as being a hygiene factor, which most of the panelists have also agreed upon. Probably one or two pointers as to what should the future look like and what should we focus on as educators. Anyone would like to take that? Yeah, Deepak ji.
Good morning. As I mentioned when I was speaking, I brought this point that the audience have changed. The learner's point was discussed. With time, we have to change. The only thing which is not permanent is the change. So there is a change which is needed when it comes down to the training of teachers also at the same time. As a promoter and as a school owners, we know that the challenges are the online education which is happening. Especially during the COVID times, we saw that there were a lot of courses which these students were learning and which our teachers were not. But there's one thing which we have to appreciate, that when we landed into a situation, our teachers learned. So there is a scope where we can make our teachers also learn, so that the audience with whom they're catering right now, the learners, of course, the generation which is coming up is technologically more advanced than the ones who are teaching. They're the ones who are already using artificial intelligence. They're the one who are using social medias. They're the ones who are very tech savvy with Google. a teacher puts up a comment in the class, and you can be ready that that can be cross-checked and can be re-questioned again. But the most important thing is that the people who are teaching, they can be groomed into, and for that, as an institution owner or as a promoter, as a principal, we have to be are on our toes for that. We have to see that right training of the teachers, like capacity building by CBSE, what's been done. The Cambridge is doing at the PTQ centers. Let the teachers go and attend these workshops and the training sessions. This becomes very important, especially in today's time. We have to come out of that system of, okay, these are the two teachers, they will go, they will learn, and they're going to come and they're just going to spread the word. This is not going to work now.
Sure.
All the teachers have to be continuously being under watch. We have to change our own system of evaluating teachers. We cannot evaluate teachers only on the basis of the class has scored good marks. We have to see what kind of online trainings they are doing, what kind of books they are reading now. So all these things, the parameters of judging a teacher also has to be changed. And if we do it correctly in a format which is more tangible, this gap is going to bridge over there. Thank
Sure.
you.
So, in the interest of time, I'm just going to take from Deepak ji. So, he spoke about upskilling, and he also spoke about as to how the parameters need to change. We don't need to judge teachers on a particular aspect and classroom results, not on their degrees as well. I'm going to go back to what previously was said by Rathod ji. He brought in the element of affordability. Economics is very, very important. Future thinking, he spoke about experience and engagement of children, teachers, all stakeholders. I think Rikrit also spoke about a real world application, which I feel, sir, is very, very important. Unless we come out of that mindset, we will always be focused on high stakes examinations. We will always be focused on numbers. We will always be competitive, and we'll always be in a rat race. Today, we as educators need to actually step forward and say that we do not care about the high stakes examination, but the holistic development of children is what we are looking at. And so these were some of the pointers that the panelists had said, and thought, I hope that answers your question, sir. We have time for one more question. I think the lady at the back. Ho gaya. Acha. So we're running short on time. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a very interesting panel discussion. Thank you so much for coming out in support of Brain Wonders and Universal Mentors Association. I think most of our speakers would be around all day, and I encourage us to interact more, learn from each other. I think it'll be very interesting to have a way forward as a collective group sitting in this room. Congratulations once again, Sandeep, and all the best.
Please. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I think, one of the biggest plus points of technology, especially in our segment, that is the education conferences, is that we could have, have an hours long conversation online. But in physical, we have to be restricted with the time constraint. And I'm really sorry, I always do this. In fact, this is going to be open. It's a spoiler alert. This is going to happen on all the panel discussions, because all panel discussions are going to be such amazing discussions throughout the day that we'll have to cut short them, because of the time constraint. So it is an apology beforehand for the rest of the day. Thank you so much. And I would like to a huge round of applause for this amazing panel. And I believe Kanak sir has always been, very kind to us, and, always been an extempore moderator for us, always. So a huge round of applause for Kanak sir. I would request now Mr. Manish Naidu to join us on stage and felicitate all the lovely panelists that we have.
संदीप अगली बार पैसे देके पहले से बुक कर लेना.
सर आप तो मेंटर हो. यूनिवर्सल मेंटर्स एसोसिएशन में जो बीच के मेंटर हैं वो आप हैं. आप नहीं होगे तो यूनिवर्सल और एसोसिएशन ही रह जाएगा. A huge round of applause for Dr. S.K. Rathod, MD, Stanford Group of Schools. A huge round of applause for Mr. Kanak Gupta, Director, State MR Jaipuria Group of Schools. Dr. C.B. Singh, President, Association of Independent Schools, Bihar. Mr. Deepak Sharma, who's the Director of Rockwoods Group of Schools. Mr. Rikirit Sarai, Managing Director, Satluj Group of Schools. तालियां रुकनी नहीं चाहिए, अभी तो शुरुआत है. Remember, we are honoring the top 100 school principals of the country. So अभी warm up है. शाम में we'll have to clap, for every principal that is receiving the award. A quick group picture. Right, so quickly moving on, I think it's time for the first presentation of the day. So we are swiping the sessions. As you can see that we have our industry session one with Indian Career Revolution. So we are now going first with an amazing presentation by Mr. Divyalok Chetan Sharma, who's the Vice President, SARC Pearson View. Can we have you on the stage, sir? Pearson View is, I think, one of the most renowned assessments organizations that we have all seen throughout the years. So, without further ado, sir, Devilok sir, please take it away.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. But before I start, respected principals, teachers, leaders from the education industry, and EdTech leaders, and especially Universal Mentors Association, a big thank you to all of you for being here, and a very good morning, and special thanks to the organization who have given me this opportunity after pretty much after 2 years, because so we all were doing webinars and doing online sessions, but standing on a stage and talking, it's a wonderful opportunity, right? And I must tell you, but before I start talking about my presentation and start introducing the topic which I have here, the one thing which I realized, and I'll tell you, that one group, if we really have to recognize and say thanks to for the work which they have done in last 2 years, is this group. Okay. Besides the healthcare segment, obviously we all are here because the healthcare segment worked, but besides that, it is the teachers group, be in the higher education domain, be it the school domain, and you all deserve a big applaud to ensure the education happens. So big applaud to all of you. No, this is not how it's going to work, folks. And I'll tell you this. I realized that in the first session also that it is not working out the way we applaud. Okay, so let me teach you a simple yogasan, because it's a yoga day happened, right? What all you need to do is just put your hands up here like this. Ma'am, at the back, you also please do a hands like this. Please go ahead. And just feel that you have air in between, right? And what you need to do is just need to press the air quite fast. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep doing. Exactly, I'm just talking about, right? So you need to do a lot of applause till evening, and this is what it's going to help you, because we are applauding for our teachers, principals, EdTech leaders who ensure the education continues despite all odds possible. All odds possible. The teachers who didn't know how to teach online, but they did. They didn't know how to make a good presentation to engage the students, but they did, right? So that's how we applaud. For the teachers, let me go back to the topic actually I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the improving learning outcomes for life through standardized examination. What that means and what I'm here to talk about, right? We all heard a massive or a huge government focus towards new education policy. And if you really ask me, and someone asked me before coming here, and I'm talking about the yesterday evening, they will look, if you have to define that in one line, how are you going to define it? I said, that's pretty odd. Actually, people took so much of a time. You're asking me to define it in a few lines, but I did. And my take was that we have to move from our rote learning system to outcome-based learning. Okay, that's what it is. That's what the focus is going to be. It's going to be a skill-based one. It has to be outcome-based one. And in order to evaluate any outcome, what do you need? You need an assessment, right? That's what you'll evaluate, whether the outcome is coming or not. Or otherwise, it's just a rote learning that, okay, you know 5, 10 different formulas, you know pretty much few things, and you are there. We in the Pearson, our purpose is very, very simple. We add life to a lifetime of learning. That's what our purpose is. Okay, we start from a K-12 segment. We help students or everyone, people in the higher education segment, and even once they finish their higher education, they move to the professional or the industry. That's where we also keep helping them to prove themselves or show themselves that they have learned and they can show the outcome. Correct? Now coming here, and why it is so important, because it is, and I must tell you, because see, I am very, very pro to what's actually going to happen or what is happening in the industry at this point in time. And the primary reason is that 80% of the students are concerned about which subject stream to choose for the higher education. And all the principals and all the teachers, we owe that. We have that responsibility to ensure that they are able to pick up the right course in which they can be successful, right? The second piece, which is very important, is which I realized, and this is all about through some surveys and the data I'm talking about, 1 of 3 students are unhappy with the course they pick up. And I'm talking about half of a million of undergrads. Important here is that only 30% of the Indian graduates are currently considered employable, and I'm talking about the higher education segment. And that's what's the need of, that our system should move from normal rote learning to outcome-based learning. And that's what actually I'm talking about. How am I going to do that? How are we going to do it? Is there a method to do it? The first thing first, obviously, we have to do a lot of changes in the schooling system, which is going to happen as far as the policies goes. But also very important is that when we are allowing students to get admission into any higher education institute, we need to ensure that student has the right skills to be successful in doing that course. Because if he has right skills to be able to get admission to a specific course and he'll be able to finish that course, then only the course will be of interest to him. Because if the course will be of interest to him, then only he'll be more employable. And how can he do that? So let me give you the example here, because see, my reading is that what we'll end up doing is, especially when we are giving students admission in the higher education institutes, we pretty much end up relying upon the filtration tests. If I need to choose a lawyer, there are 5 people are sitting here, I'll ask you, sir, can you tell me the capital of Brazil? He'll say, yes, this. Okay, now you know that, and 3 can't answer it. I'm giving you the admission into my law course. Oh, really? That's what I'm talking about. Is there an answer to it? We as a Pearson, we were working from quite some time, and we said, yes, it has an answer to it. We have to bring a standardized admission test which can help this market. How? Because if you look at the student situation, if they have to get admission into a course, they pretty much end up getting into a situation where they are giving the entrance examinations for multiple institutes. They have to remember the dates of the examination. They have to remember the policies, ID policies, etc. In some tests, they have a aptitude test. In some tests, they have an English test. In some tests, they have a general knowledge test as well. How are you going to do that? What are we trying to make throughout the whole situation? And that's when in 2021, when the entire industry was actually going through the COVID period, and we are, again, I'll say, it is all, I would like to thank a lot of teachers and the deans I spoke to during that time who said, look, you as an organization, you Pearson being the world's largest organization, and Pearson VUE being the largest assessment certification organization of the globe, you should contribute to this country. And we said, we will contribute. And our contribution is in the form of Pearson undergraduate entrance examination. This is the standardized admission test. That means in this test, we test students on right skills to tell higher education institutes that yes, this student has right skills to be able to be successful in a specific course. And what are the different areas we test students on? We test students on their analytical abilities, abstract abilities, and the logical abilities, and the verbal abilities, etc. So let me give you the example. If any higher education institute, if you are picking up a student for a law course, then you need to ensure the student has the right verbal skills, has the right logical skills to be successful in that course, isn't it? And that is, and how are we going to do it? Is there a method to do that? Yes, there is a method to do that. And this is our contribution. We wanted to contribute to this entire education system, and that's why we decided to launch this particular examination. Very quickly, what all we cover here in this one, there are two examinations at this point in time. Number one, it's a 2-hour test, which is called as Pearson Undergraduate Entrance Exam, for it's a generic one, and the Pearson Undergraduate Entrance Exam for engineering. The generic one it's a 2-hour test, which tests students on their quantitative reasonings, verbal reasoning, abstract reasoning, essay, and few other things as well, which is part of it, part of the overall test. It's a 2-hour test. 3-hour test is, besides the quantitative, verbal, abstract, we are also testing students on a maths and a physics. You, for example, if sir has, like you have, if say, for example, if you have an institute, like an engineering college, you wanted to give admission to a student, right? And you can see the scores of quantitative, analytical, logical, maths, and physics. You may take a decision. No, that his physics score is just right, but he is very high on the analytical skills. He has a better chance to become a very successful engineer than someone who's scoring low on the analytical reasoning questions, and very high in physics. That's how the kind of a comparisons I'm just going to talk about, right? And that's I was talking about. No negative marking, nothing else. And there is no general knowledge questions, because we realize this is not going to help. This is not a filtration test. We have to help this industry, this market, to have a test which is a selection test. You can pick up a right candidates who have the ability to be able to do the course, who can show the outcome. You have to relate to everything to the new education policy, right? See, and that's the people who have a right skills to become a lawyer, and when they're doing a law, they'll be able to showcase their skills better. And when I'm continue to emphasize on that it's a selection test, what that means, if you really ask me, the first thing first, every student should be able to take the test when they are most prepared to take the test. Not that one day single slot kind of an examination. Everyone is running with the father, mother, everyone standing outside the test center because today is the test center. Student is not feeling okay, he's feeling sick, whatever XYZ. How can we expect student to perform? He'll be able to perform when there is an ability, he has in a right frame of mind to be able to perform. So that's what I'm saying. He should be able to give the test the right time, and he is most prepared to give the test. Now coming back, the key advantage after launching this examination is that just by giving one exam, one test, student can get admission into 162 universities at this point in time, folks. And I'll repeat, just by giving one examination. So all the people who are there from the school industry, you should know, and you can go back and tell your students that, folks, you know what, you don't have to prepare for 10 different entrance examination. There is a test now in India. You can just prepare for it. And there's no rote learning there. You can give the test, whatever your basis, whatever you're studying in your CBSE, ICSE, etc. You can go and give the examination, right? And you can apply using that score for the admission to 162 universities. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. If you don't feel that you managed to get the right score, please reappear. Your next attempt you may end up scoring high. No negative marking. It's a 10 months of a long window. You're going to get the immediate results, and there's exciting scholarship opportunities. And plus, it is all up to you how you want to give the test. Because see, we as a parent are still concerned about the COVID and other situations. If we feel that our student should be sitting at home and giving the examination, the option is available. If the student chooses it, if they feel that they do not have a required infrastructure to give that examination from home, they can go to the nearby test center. We have a 400 plus test centers across India, and they can go to give the examination. That's what actually our contribution to this market is and that's what we come up with during the COVID period. I'm just showing you a bus one slide to tell you, and I'm very, very thankful to all these institutes, and there are 162 in number, and I know that I may have end up missing quite a lot at this point in time, but I have a lot to thank these institutes who trusted Pearson View as a brand, and they trusted that yes, this country needs a standardized examination, and student by giving this one exam can apply to these many universities for the admission purposes. With that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just take a pause. I'll close my session here. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you learned how to. Nah, this is not where you applaud. No, no, no. This is not how you applaud. What you need to do is just come on. Let's just do it one more time. Okay? You have to do it till evening. Trust me, it helps. It improves the blood circulation. Okay? So thank you so much, and enjoy your session and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Round of applause.
The way I told you.
Yes,
No,
yes.
no, not
Come on,
this way.
let
way I
the
told you,
applause
come
keep
on.
happening. I would now like to invite Dr. C.B. Singh. Is he here with us in the hall? Sir, please join us on the stage and felicitate Mr. Divyalok Chetan Sharma, Vice President, SARC, Pearson View.
Thank you so much. Oh, sir. Thank you so much again.
Right. Now, moving on, we have our next industry presentation by Mr. Anchan Kapoor, who's the regional head of Eduvate. A huge round of applause, Eduvate, for supporting Universal Mentors Association as the gold partners for this amazing event.
Good morning. Good morning to all the principals and educators present here. I think the last 2.5 years, everyone would have discussed, have been tough for everyone. And whenever you see this kind of a gathering, it always creates a sense of happiness, both as an audience and as a speaker as well. So my name is Achin Kapoor, and I represent Eduvate. So in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I will like to give emphasis what Eduvate is and what we are doing. So you can see in the first slide, (250) students started collaborating with them, both on the academics part and the non-academics part. And we have grown orchids from one school to more than 60 branches across India with more than 50,000 students. So that's the growth story which Eduvate carried for last 8 years. And then in 2020, when the COVID hit across the globe, we started taking this product outside orchids as well. And now I can proudly say that this year closing, we have closed more than 300 schools pan-India collaborating with Eduvate. So that's the growth part, and that's the story. These are some of the states where we are present: Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, West Bengal, and Haryana. So what are Eduvate powered schools? So they create a high impact and higher admissions. So that's where most of the schools in the past, after the COVID, have been struggling in terms of admissions, in terms of running their school. So what Eduvate brings onto the table? So you can see on your screen that we have 5 pillars on which Eduvate is working currently. So first one is the integrated curriculum part. So what we are giving in integrated curriculum? NEP 2020 has come. So we have designed our curriculum as per the new education policy. All the books, including the workbooks, they are designed as per the new education policy. We have included subjects like public speaking as well, which we see a lot of emphasis on the child. Whenever he learns any language, he should be a good public speaker as well. So we have included subjects like public speaking in our books. Then we have the complete academic planning as well. This includes the entire year plan, the lesson plan, all the resources, the PPTs, the videos, and all these things. Third part is the learning kits part. So in the national education policy as well, they have laid emphasis on activity-based learning. The child, whenever they learn, that should be an activity-based learning. So whatever the topic or whatever the concept the child is studying in the book, an activity is connected to that. And we as an Eduate, we are the only company who is giving a learning kit for each and every child. So there is a separate kit for maths, science, and in pre-primary, literacy and numeracy. Then we have the e-books and the interactive books, which are also part in the ERP. Videos and presentations are also there in the ERP to support the teachers and the entire examination support. So the examination support, we are giving the complete question bank in the ERP so that the teachers can design their own question papers as well. Coming back to the second part, which is the technology platform part. I was hearing the discussion which happened in the morning, where the emphasis was laid that how technology is helping the education and the impact which we have seen in the 2 years of COVID. Before COVID, no teacher was able, there were some teachers who are able to operate Zoom, but now each and every teacher is able to operate Zoom, operate Google Meet, conduct classes. So what in ERP we are giving? We are giving a complete ERP platform for the student, for the teachers, and for the school heads also. This will include all the academic and non-academic modules. When I talk about non-academic modules, I heard someone saying that we are able to collect fees 100%. We are giving the fees module also in that ERP so that the fees collection should not be a hassle for the school. Coming on to the parents' communication, I think this is one of the topics raised there as well in the discussion, where the communication between the school and the parent should always be smooth. So whatever the school wants to communicate with the parent, whether any circular, whether any notices, attendance, in terms of examinations reports, everything, each and everything the school will be able to send through the ERP to the parents app. And the digital classrooms. I think this is also one of the things which had impacted a lot in terms of hybrid education. So we are giving LEDs for every classrooms and tablets for each and every teacher. Why tablets for each and every teacher? Because I've seen during the COVID times, a teacher taking a Zoom class from his mobile phone and struggling to conduct that. A phone comes in between. There should be a dedicated tool for each and every teacher to perform his or her professional duties. And that is the reason we are giving tablets to each and every teacher. And marketing and brand visibility, that's where our expertise come from, how we have grown orchids from one school to more than 60 schools in India in terms of branding, marketing, and all these support. We support the schools as well. So these are the 5 pillars of a curriculum product which we have. And all our learning kits are award-winning learning kits. So we have, we have literacy and numeracy in pre-primary, and then we have maths and science in the primary section. So this is one of the products we have. The second product which we have is the robotics exclusive 3-in-1 program. You must know this thing that while the NEP came out, they have laid emphasis on coding and robotics from grade 6 onwards. But what we have done, we have been doing this coding and robotics program in Orchids for last 5 years, and more than 60,000 students have graduated with this program. This is one of those exclusive programs which have computer science, coding, robotics, and aero modeling, all clubbed into one curriculum. So the first 6 months, we teach children computer science and coding, In the next 6 months, we teach them robotics and aero modeling. So it's a clubbed program from grade 1 to 9, and we have got a humongous response with respect to this program as well. These are a few of the schools. I have not jotted all the 300, 350 schools, but these are few of the schools we have collaborated in last 8 years across India. So this is the 2 products which we have on the table. Thank you so much for patient hearing.
Thank you so much for this lovely presentation, Mr. Archan. I would request Anu Monga ma'am to join us on the stage and felicitate Mr. Archan Kapoor, the regional head of Eduate. A huge round of applause. Anu Monga ma'am, who's the founder and chairperson of TISI, the Association of International Schools of India. Right, moving on, we have a really, really huge announcement to make. India's largest career revolution, protein career test, has tied up with Brain Wonders with over 40,000 centers across India. I would like to invite Mr. Manish Naidu, who's the founder of Brain Wonders, to join us on the stage and maybe very quickly say what the protein career test is all about. Protein career test. A huge round of applause for Mr. Manish Naidu.
Thanks. You all are a wonderful audience. I think you should start clapping for yourself again. Can you just play the teaser? Sandeep ji is hard pressed on time, so I'll take maximum 3 minutes out of my allocated 10. Thank you. Protein is a company erstwhile known as NSDL. You all would know NSDL is the highest, is the company which takes in Aadhaar and PAN card centers across the country. It has got 40,000 odd centers, and now Brain Wonders have tied up with NSDL to have the protein career test launched. This is primarily to ensure that the psychometric test, career evolution, which is happening in the country and which is in sync and in plan with national education policy, where Mr. Modi ji has said that let's start understanding skill set of the children early. So we have 40,000 odd centers across the country, 18 states are being covered, and we will be doing the psychometric test at a very, very, very nominal cost. The beauty behind this particular test is that we want to disrupt the market by technology and also price. We would also be having the psychometric test, which is basically a career test, mapped across with 507 careers, 12,000 colleges, 13,000 courses, 23 industries. I mean, all of us sitting out here can probably say not more than 10 careers at a time or 15. I mean, we all know only 20 careers max. But you would love to know that 507 careers, out of which almost 317 careers are humanities based out of arts. Awareness of careers are very important. Once they know that, the world will be a better place to live in. And that's our motto with NSGL to plan this massive setup. And we hope to touch 1 crore test out of the 315 million students who would be writing that 8, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th exams. So this is one of the initiative by Brain Wonders and Protean to take this forward. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
So I would request you to please stay. I request Dr. Vasudha Neelmani, who is the principal of Rockwoods International School, to join us on the stage and felicitate Mr. Manish Naidu for his amazing speech. And, I think, Manish, I'll take the liberty of saying this about Brain Wonders. If you want to get your DMIT test done today, I think we are there right outside where you can get your DMIT test, where you can check your left or right brain dominant side and test your personality traits checked out. So it's an amazing thing that you can have a look out at the Brain Wonders stall, and this is absolutely free of cost for all the principals out there. So requesting Manish sir to stay on the stage because he is also going to be the moderator for the next session, which will be discussing fostering admissions, role of marketing in driving admissions for schools, marketing methodologies, old school versus new school. So please take your seat, Manish sir. We have Dr. Seema Negi, who is the director principal of Sanjeevani World School. A huge round of applause for Dr. Seema Negi. Dr. Sushma Sherawat, who's the president and CEO of Oasis Global School. I request you, ma'am, to please join us on the stage. A huge round of applause. Talia thak rahi hain. Come on, a huge round of applause. I think we should have a louder music. With the music, I think the tempo of the audience will go up. Mr. Anirudh Sachdeva, who's the director of Holy Child Public School. A huge round of applause. Anirudh Sachdeva ji, who's the director of Holy Child Public School. Mr. Devi Datta Kanungu, who's the CEO of Radcliffe Group of Schools. A huge round of applause. Mr. Ananta Krishnan B, who's the CEO of Operations Calorex Group of Schools. Ananta sir, are you here? Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya, who is the principal of Manav Rachna International School. Mr. Lakshay Chabria, who is the president of Affordable Private School Association, Delhi. Sir, a huge round of applause. Lakshay sir has been numero uno mentor for Universal Mentors Association. Mr. B. Anil Kumar, who is the vice president of Sahodaya, Mumbai. And Mr. Arijit Ghosh, who's the Assistant Vice President, New Academic Initiative, State MR Jaipuria Group of Schools. This becomes a nostalgia, especially for me, because Arijit sir was the first jury member of Global Gurus when we hosted there in this very hotel. A huge round of applause for this amazing panel. I think this is a stellar of a panel, and we're talking about, a topic that is not talked, or it's said to be the taboo of topics, where we're talking admissions and we're talking about marketing strategies and we're talking about schools, which is supposedly not the business. So a huge round of applause, and we feel this is a really, really amazing session. Manish sir, we have 45 minutes for this amazing session, I know.
I think, thank you. Thanks, Sandeep, for having this August gathering. I think all of you should keep your last WhatsApp scene now. because we are entering into a very beautiful discussion on marketing. And I think we all would agree that we have not come across a panel which talks about marketing. Schools are supposed not to be a business organization. And so marketing is sort of a stigma is what people say. But we have this August gathering out here. And if you look at the gathering, we have right from Bombay to western parts of UP, Delhi NCR. So we are covering almost pan India. So you have anything and everything out here. 45 minutes gives us 4 minutes each for each of the panel to speak. And I would start the session with the one who is the closest to me, sitting, Seema Negi, ma'am. She is from Bombay. I am from Bombay, but I was telling her that we are 9 kilometers apart, but we have to travel 900 kilometers to meet each other. The gathering would love to understand from all your lovely faces is one unique strategy to ensure that we are one step ahead. Yeah, we understand that it's not a business organization, but we need to have the right set of students in to ensure that the teachers and the blue collar staff and everybody have their own way ahead. So let's start with a round of applause. Start with Dr. Seema ma'am. 4 minutes. One particular aspect which has changed it and how it has changed the growth of the school. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone. And indeed, very interesting topic. But you said schools and marketing, we really do not bring these two terminologies together. All I'll say that school and marketing, these terminologies go hand in hand, whatever we do. Ultimately, the target is not just result. Target is the number that we are increasing. I will give you the example of what we have done. So tried and tested method. We started our school in 2018. 2018, we started our humble beginning with 364 students. Today, after 2 years of pandemic, we are 1,500.
Wow.
And it is an organic growth. Every year we are growing by 300 students, and it's a standalone school. So what did we do that we are still getting admission? One is collaborate, 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 and collaborate. Are you open for your parents? Are you ready to say, yes, we are here to listen to the feedback and criticism, and ready to take criticism positively? Trust me, criticism is good if we are willing to change. I will just like to share 6 principles of persuasion that we are following. First is the principle of reciprocating. How many times do we do something without asking anything in return? If we start doing it for the nearby community, to the preschools who are around our area, trust me, we are making our base very strong. These preschools then will become our feeder school. Second is the principle of commitment and consistency. We need to be consistent in our efforts every time, because today, one small step, tomorrow, a bigger step, and we know we are making the future safe for us. Next is principle of liking. Genuinely commenting and giving genuine feedback. Very rarely we do that. It's not just for the nearby community or preschools, to our parents, to the community where we belong to. Next is principle of social proof. Today we are all here. We are going to upload it everywhere on social media. These are our digital footprints. You might have seen that all of you upload so many things that your students are doing. That is your social proof. But before that, you as a school head, founder, CEO, principal, what are your digital footprints? People do check your digital footprint before they come to your school. So you have to be very specific. Next is principle of authority. Have you established yourself as a person whom people would like to listen to or refer to? You know, authority is, we like to listen to famous doctors, lawyers, and we feel, yes, their feedback or what they are telling is much better than others. So please develop that principle of authority. I know I will not take much time. Next is principle of scarcity. Do you create that? The moment you say admission closed, you know what happens, right? So that always happened. This year we didn't wanted to go ahead with more than 5 divisions for grade 1, and we said admission close. Trust me, today I have 7 divisions of grade 1. So that is what we need to do. And all we need to do is we need to be there for all our parents every time. If you are not doing that, whatever I said has no meaning. Work as a team and do not waste a good crisis. If pandemic was the crisis, I think pandemic was the biggest marketing thing for me. My school was open for parents. My teachers, what they are teaching was available for parents, and they could see what is happening in the school. And still, it might sound like a very old school, but its parents, their mouth-to-mouth publicity results in good admissions. And that is what we are doing.
Thanks. Thanks, Dr. Seema. Collaborate, network, walk the talk, and fear of losing out. I think these are the 4 takeaways. Next, Dr. Sushma Sherawat, President and CEO, Oasis Global School. Your 4-minute take on the marketing strategy you have employed.
Okay. A very good afternoon.
Can you be able to-
Sorry.
yeah.
Marketing for the school. स्कूल जो है वो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर हैं. मार्केटिंग वर्ड जैसे ही कहा तो बड़ा अजीब सा लगा, बड़ा खराब सा लगा. और जब मैंने इसको देखा तब भी मुझे लगा कि यार स्कूल के लिए मार्केटिंग, हाँ, सोचना पड़ा इसके ऊपर और समझना भी पड़ा कि आज का जो बदलता हुआ सिनेरियो है, इसके अंदर वो नहीं चल सकता कि आपने कह दिया और सामने वाले ने समझ लिया. समझाना पड़ेगा, बताना पड़ेगा. एजुकेशन है, शिक्षा है, अगर माउथ टू माउथ जाएगी तो बहुत अच्छा रहेगा. यानी कि क्वालिटी एजुकेशन दे रहे हैं, लेकिन फिर भी एक बहुत बड़ा जो मास है वो अभी भी एजुकेशन से वंचित है, दूर है. तो क्या किया जाए इसके लिए, कैसे बताया जाए लोगों को कि एजुकेशन इस तरह से लें और यहाँ से लें तो शायद ज़्यादा बेस्ट होगा. और छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल है मेरे पास. अभी लास्ट 2 मंथ्स मैं आउट ऑफ इंडिया थी, इसी स्कूल के प्रोग्राम से रिलेटेड ही. और नेपाल में थी, भूटान में थी, थाईलैंड में थी. अब वहाँ के लोग मुझे कैसे जानेंगे? माउथ टू माउथ पब्लिसिटी इज ओके, बट अगर मुझे अपने स्कूल का एक्सपेंशन देना है या लोगों को बताना है कि इंडिया में इस तरह का एजुकेशन है और एनईपी तो आ ही गई है, तो उसके लिए मुझे इस स्ट्रेटेजी को लेना पड़ेगा. आज मैं अभी आपके सामने ही हूँ, इंडिया में हूँ, और स्कूल का काम थाईलैंड, नेपाल और भूटान तीनों जगह हो रहा है. ये क्या है? ये मार्केटिंग ही तो है. अपने बारे में बताना, अपने बारे में समझाना, तो क्या करेंगे? टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करनी पड़ेगी. अब टेक्नोलॉजी है तो किस तरह से हमारे पास तो आज तो बिल्कुल एक्सपर्ट है हमारे सामने कि हम किस तरह के मेथोडोलॉजी लेके उसको हम आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, उसको आगे कर सकते हैं. तो हम आज का जो समय है इस लॉकडाउन के बाद स्पेशली, क्योंकि हम सब बहुत बड़ी मार से गुजरे हैं और बच्चे भी बहुत बड़ा इस डिजास्टर का हिस्सा बने हैं, तो उन सब से बाहर निकलने के लिए इस स्ट्रेटेजी हमें लेना होगा. मार्केटिंग करनी पड़ेगी, हमें बताना पड़ेगा हमें टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ. मैं इंडिया में बैठी, मुझे नेपाल में जानता कौन है, भूटान में जानता कौन है, वर्ल्ड में जानता कौन है. तो मुझे वो टेक्निक्स अपनानी पड़ेंगी, तभी जाके सक्सेस हो पाएंगे हम इस मिशन में कि इंसानियत के लिए जो हम सेवा भाव एजुकेशन वालों के भीतर में है वो दुनिया को दे सकें, दुनिया को समझा सकें.
शुक्रिया सुषमा जी. जैसे इन्होंने कहा, शी इज ऑल्सो एक्विंग द सेम सेंटिमेंट्स शेयर्ड बाय सीमा मैम. प्रमोट कीजिए खुद को, तालाब से निकल के बाहर जल बहुत बड़ा है. एंड मिस्टर अनिरुद्ध सचदेवा, डायरेक्टर होली पब्लिक स्कूल, होली चाइल्ड पब्लिक स्कूल, we would love to understand one strategy which has made a difference.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Just a brief introduction. Anirudh Sachdeva, director of 2 schools. Basically, we own 2 schools. One is 43-year-old school. 1979 it was established at Rewari. southern Haryana, and the new school which we started in mid of COVID at Nimrana. So both are different concepts, I would say, as far as the marketing is concerned.
Correct.
One is the old school and one is the new school. And that too, we started, as I told you, in the May 2021, that is full COVID time, right? Audience is different, cities are different. Like Rewari has its own culture, but Nimrana doesn't have its own culture because it's an industrial area. So people from Odisha, Gujarat, Mumbai, or Uttarakhand, or wherever, from all the locations. So you can't generalize like how this parent thinks, how that parent thinks. So it was difficult, but a good challenge, and we got through that. And in very first year, we managed to get 400 students, although I had planned only 100 students there. The point which I want to convey here is that the technology is there in the marketing, the websites are there, the SEOs are there, the YouTubes are there, but how to attract the brain share of that parent, how to attract that, because there is so much of bombarding happening as far as social media is concerned, as far as superficially schools are also sharing things which are exactly not happening in the school. And I'm taking a few words from ma'am's words. There is a difference between marketing and selling. So school always should avoid selling, but yes, marketing is always good, because as she rightly pointed out that unless until we tell them what is happening inside the campus, uh, nobody will come to know. Although parents are like, because of nuclear families, they have one kid or two kids, they're very possessive now, very demanding now, and not demanding because of the education what they need. They are demanding because the other industry segments are also serving in the same manner. You have a cloud kitchen now, so people don't have time now. So if they enter into the school, they want to meet the authorities. If you make them wait, the brain gets off, right? So this is also a part of the marketing, that somebody comes, you meet, you greet, and you come to the point and open your offices for all kind of feedback. Not only that, you say what we are doing, take the feedback how we are doing. So word of mouth is the strongest, I would say, uh, the step, what I personally feel is the best way, because when you put so much of big ads in the newspapers, when you share the links on the YouTube or Insta or whatever, already so much is happening. But yes, they are very, very important. But beside that, a parent will bring other parent. That is the fastest process in the small towns. I'm not talking about the big cities, because the connection between the parents are not there. But if I'm talking about the city called Dirwadi and Nimrana, the word of mouth is the best way. And how we can attract the good word of mouth is how you do the work in your school. So this is what, but yes, again, challenging every day. I think now what next we should bring, because when I see the Nimrana or Rewadi from 10th, 12th floor of any building, I see the huge potential in the city, that so many kids are there in the city, and how to attract them as per your capacities. So for old school, we bring in all the alumni who are successful, who are in all the fields, not like only the doctors or judges or the engineers, but people who are doing even the social workers. There are people who are the ministers also. We created a profile which we wanted to do earlier, but because of old school, earlier the database were not maintained properly. Emails were not there, numbers were landline numbers. So we hooked on with company to find out all the alumni, where are those people. So that worked really well for the old. And I'm blessed to say, or pleased to say, that we never had a chance that our strength went down in any period, be it a strength or be it a fees. uh, we are okay with that, we are comfortable. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks. There is, we are already three panelists, and all three have specified the fact that word of mouth marketing works. So I think one interesting question which we all should be stating after this finishes is, should we spend money on retaining the old clients, students, or should we have the race to get new one in? Which means that experience would matter. एक सवाल था, did you use any of the experienced teachers in your earlier school to launch this particular school? Did you have that experience coming in, or was it a fresh new setup? Yeah, आपके दो schools थे, तो the attrition is very low. Great. So everybody 8 pay commission.
Okay. Mr. Devitak, CEO Redcliffe Group of Schools. He hails from Navi Mumbai. 4 minutes, 13 schools is what he presides, and we would like to know how you have employed your strategy across the 13 schools you have in. The same question would have to the president of the association, Saudia, and Laksh Habriaji as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. So at the outset, let me first tell you that I want to first differentiate a little bit between branding and marketing, and what I'll be speaking about a little bit more is the branding part of it, because a lot of my panelists have spoken about the marketing of it. Now, whether you like it or not, right? All the schools today, in whichever city you might be doing, more or less we are following kind of the same curriculum. The teachers training also, we are drawing from the same pool. So at the end of the day, when you are teaching the same curriculum and drawing the teachers from the same pool, how do you differentiate yourself? That's the question, isn't it? Because finally, when the parent is looking at you, why should he put his child into your school and not the Bajuka school? That's the question that you are trying to get the parent to answer for you. Now, when you are trying to do that, whether knowingly or unknowingly, the reality of the matter is that by the things that you have done and the words that you have put across, somewhere or the other, there has been a story that has been formed about your school. Now the question is whether you want to shape that story or you want, destiny to, or, the circumstances to shape that story. Especially in a large group of schools, if you want to have a pan-India presence, you want to be in control of that story, right? That's what you want to do. You don't want the story to be formed by chance. You want that story to be formed by choice. Now, this is what you want to do. Now, how do you do it, right? First, you have to understand that, number one, identification of that story is very important, and that identification cannot be far away from the real DNA of your school. Unless you have identified what's the core DNA, and I'll tell you a story of one of the schools that we did this for and how that worked. Unless the story is in sync with the DNA of what you actually do, there'll always be dissonance. So one of the schools where we are working, the core of the school was about entrepreneurship and leadership development in children. That was the real core. Everybody, the teachers, the students were working towards this. But how do you put across that story across? Right? So what you start doing is you start working in, first you have to work on the content of it. You have to create those programs, those periods, those content, the specific competitions, etc., that allow for the students' entrepreneurial leadership development to happen. And then all of you know today is the world of content marketing, video marketing. Once you do those programs consciously, you start putting across bites, the smaller bites of the children, the teachers, the programs in easily acceptable form for your parents. Once you keep doing it in a consistent way over a period of not just months but years, the story starts getting formed. And that's the critical thing. Unless you very, very clearly identify what's your core DNA, understand that core DNA, make sure that the programs and the curriculum and content that you have created in your schools are in line with that core DNA. And then you have a very, very specific team, which is, or at least your people are working towards putting across that story in the right way, and there are multiple content, that your parent consumes, and you should know which are the platforms on your parent is consuming those content. You put across consistently. That's how you form the brand, and that planning is very, very important, and that structure is what finally makes your identity known to the entire world, and then you are in control of your story. Otherwise, your story will keep changing, and if your story keeps changing, your parent gets confused, and then that's where you start getting issues. So that's my small take on how you can do a little bit more structured thing on this.
Thanks. It was a small take, but I think it's a brilliant take. I think there is 3 words which summarizes what you say. in this field of marketing and the showmanship of how you are different, I think one should understand that those three letters is remember why we started. Once we know why we started, the focus is very clear. So I think it's a brilliant take. You know your history to create a future. Good. Mr. Ananthakrishnan, I think he's one guy who will give you at least 3 hours of non-stop marketing strategies. But we are fortunate enough to have 4 minutes of your take on the same. And as Winston Churchill said, the lesser the time, the more the preparation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. My mentors, seniors, my gurus, my respected pranams to all of you. This is something, as you said, is close to my heart. Marketing has always been very close to my heart. Ms. Mehrotra is here. She is testimony of how I used to behave as a marketer in my times. So every school has a total of 5 things that you need to look out for. As principals, as leaders, we need to look out for 5 things. First thing is you should know your USPs. I'll come one by one. I have exactly 4 minutes. I'll conclude in 4 minutes. So first thing is you need to know your USP. Right? As Mr. Devdutt said, every school is unique in some form. Know how are you unique to your neighboring school. First thing first. Second is outreach. People in your locality, people in your catchment, we call it catchment, 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers, 10 kilometers, whatever is your catchment. They should know that there is one X school which offers so and so, so and so. And that has to be your USP. If you have to do anything for your school, you'll have to do outreach, right? Then what is important is engagement. Education is a service. Service is always measured with customer satisfaction. Outreach is the only thing that can bring you a customer satisfaction. You may be giving the best of education. I, as a parent, I walk into your campus. I want to meet the principal. You make me wait for 2.5 hours. That is the end of me on you. Right? My child may be a 99.9%er. That doesn't bother me any further. The day I get my report card, yeah, tomorrow school to aise hi hai. That's the statement that the father gives. This is the customer talking. So engagement with the customer is very important. How you engage with the customer, you know very well what area, what locality you operate, how are your how your clientele, and how do you need to engage with them. Then is experience. As I said, I've already covered a part of experience in the engagement thing, but experience is very important. Look, feel, and touch. Whenever the customer looks at you, चाहे वो आपने मोबाइल पे देखे, चाहे वो आपको आपके वेबसाइट पे देखे, चाहे वो रोड पे जाते हुए आपके बैनर्स देखे, चाहे वो आपके होर्डिंग्स देखे, चाहे न्यूज़पेपर देखे, कहीं पे भी देखे. That look of his should, induce an appealing thing, right? The stuff has to be appealing. जो भी आप बोलना चाहते हो उसको, it has to be appealing. It has to be engaging. It has to be mind-provoking. It has to be satisfying. अगर मैं एक एडमिशन ओपन का बैनर देखूं जो मेरे को satisfy नहीं करता हो, यार मेरे बच्चे को यहाँ नहीं डालना. That is the first thing you'll think. If you put something creative there in such a way that is engaging his thought process, okay, these guys are something different. Let me check what are they. So a call for action आता है. That's the call for action. It's called call for action. Anything that you do has to call an action. आप Facebook में कमेंट डालते हो तो it has to call an action. लाइक करेगा या कॉल नाउ बटन दबा के आपको कॉल करेगा या आपका पेज लाइक करेगा ताकि आप कुछ भी भेजो वो उसको मिलेगा. So the parent has to be engaged at all times. Then is the feel. Each and every interaction, each and every effort has to make him feel good, feel great. The customer has to feel like a king. The parent has to go satisfied in the day. कम से कम किसी ने बात तो किया मुझे, मेरी प्रॉब्लम को सुना तो सही कम से कम. So that engagement is very important. And then secure all your touch points. From the time that the parent is walking into your school, from the time that parent is leaving out your school, or you have a city office, or you have any other place where the parent is touching upon you. Your touch points have to be secured. If you do this, your value naturally gets built. And balance जो value build करनी है वो आपको classroom में build करनी है. उसके बारे में I think all the academicians are here. I don't need to talk much. You guys know better than me as to how to build a value for the school. So these 5 parameters, if you're able to conclude in a very prompt and appropriate manner, you are the king of that particular area. Thank you very much. With that, I
Wonderful,
conclude.
wonderful. I think funnel marketing with the right strategy, leave no parent, and have the right touch points is the game ahead. Dr. Suchitra, ma'am, Principal Manav Rachna, I'm sorry to be the Hawkeye and say every time it's a 4 minutes, but I think the panel is getting interesting. And your 4-minute take on the difference you have made.
Thank you so much. It's always a wonderful feeling to talk on such beautiful topics. You know, while we were discussing, uh, it was said that it's very different marketing. And I think Miss Seema and myself, we are the only two principals and all owners and directors and from the management. So let me talk from the point of view of the school head. Coming from the armed forces, I've been really lucky that I've been commanding schools with 3,000 plus students. However, when we talk of old schools and new schools, we have to understand that both need students, right? And not only that, retaining students, as one of our panelists said. During the pandemic, we've seen that everyone had the financial crisis, whichever way. And that is the time, frankly speaking, we have realized that there were conversations where we could hear about money as principles for since 11 years. I have never spoken about Aapka 50,000 reh gaya, try to pay 20,000 this month and maybe we can continue. So what's the harm in talking of marketing when it comes to school? As my panel member said, I would definitely agree on the fact my priority is the environment of the school, which will give us good marketing. Competition is always there because schools are mushrooming and schools are getting filled with children. Therefore, you have to have something different to attract students in your school, to increase the number or to retain. As sir said, the DNA, I really liked it. DNA, for me, is from my gatekeeper to the head to the management. That is my environment. We can increase the marketing by having wonderful staff, carrying the messages to the staff, getting your staff members' words in the school, which speaks a lot. I'm the head, my child is in different school. What do I answer? That means my school is not fit enough for my ward. Small things though, but it really matters. As just now sir said, the environment where the parents should feel that my child is safe. Definitely, every parent today now wants their child to be the best swimmer, to be the best cricketer, and of course, the best IITian. We can't give everything definitely, but we need to ensure that if we promise something, we keep up to it. If I tell my parents, if they have any query, if I tell them that, yes, this is what I will do or I'll get back to you, I will have to ensure that the parent is satisfied enough. I think it matters a lot. An approachable principal, an approachable teacher, the positive environment, the safe environment, and definitely making an impact in the society, which is very important. Curriculum will go on. We have to do it. Create good human beings and doing something for the society. I think that is one thing that I lay emphasis on. So all of us, I don't know whether you'll agree to it, but definitely we need to create good human beings, and doing something in the society will definitely give us social media coverage and of course direct conversation with each other, conversation with the society will get students. That's my marketing there.
Great, brilliant. I think what Dr. Suchitra has said, Mr. Thackeray should have seen the video because he would have been more approachable and the government would have been saved. Be approachable is the mantra. The interesting point is the more you move forward with marketing, the more you should go behind and start connecting. Now, this is my favorite question to Mr. Laksha Chhabria. All of us sitting here, or I think the fees is anywhere from 35,000 to a lakh and a half. So they have massive amount of bombardment of social media, marketing, YouTube videos. I know a company which also took Mr. Vishwanathan Anand as one of the brand ambassadors. You represent Affordable Private School Association. And I would love to hear how would you engage, be in the game, and ensure that students retain, they come to you, because that is more important. Quality at a cost. So over to you.
Thank you asking for this question. This is close to my heart. No doubt there will be a challenge for us because we are running an affordable school in Delhi. But where there is a will, there is a way.
So just when you say affordable, how much is tentatively the
It's
fees?
2,500 to 3,000 rupees per month.
Oh, okay. So 30,000 to 36,000 max.
Max 30,000.
Wonderful. Okay.
So one tagline I would like to give: out of the sight, out of the mind. If you want to do a marketing, you must always be in the picture. Earlier, we used to do the old marketing strategies like billboards. These were so expensive. Nowadays, digital marketing has made it very affordable. So reaching parents become very affordable through Google AdWords. You can start an ad within 5,000 rupees a month budget. So I think 5,000 to 10,000 rupees a month budget is not a big deal for an affordable school. First of all, you have to, my fellow panelists have already shared that connecting with parents is the most important aspect in our profession. First of all, you have to connect with your parents. Your staff will understand that this is an affordable school. If you convey your vision to your children, to your staff, to your parents, they will connect with you and they will start working with you. Therefore, if your intentions are good, your niyat is good, then people start following you, people start working with you, and you will get the result very easily. And one mantra I would give 3 R's of reimagining, rebranding, and regeneration. Earlier, our image was a low-cost school, budget school. Now we reimagine our image. We have worked on that. And now people used to say, this school is better than any international school. Children are coming from a big school because we are located in the densely populated, Asia's densely populated district. And there is no land available in our area. So traveling is one of the major concern for the parents. So if they get a very good school in our local city, then why not choose us? This is my mantra. Thank you.
Brilliant. Very good. I think again, one more point to connect back, keep connecting, is the way ahead. B. Anil Kumar, Vice President, Sahodya. We would like to know your take. How many schools does the Saudi Association of Mumbai have?
Yeah.
Kitne schools hain? How many schools are there?
93.
93, huh? Wonderful. So, how does the school association, I mean, do you help the schools create a particular plan of action, or is it independent on their own? And your 4 minutes take of how the marketing should be done?
Actually, Sahodaya is only a platform by CBSE.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I belong to Chinmay Vidyalaya.
So can you just keep this?
Yeah. And really speaking, I was not aware of what is marketing strategy because I am an educationalist. Today I have learned how to market. Even if you come to my school, you don't find any honor board who are the toppers of class 10 or 12th. Because we believe we impart education for preparing our students for life. They should be good citizen and they should have good value system. So we impart value-based education in our school. Values are incorporated not only in the value education periods, but it is incorporated in all subjects. And we always go for the latest developments happening in the field of education. Knowledge explosion is huge, and we as administrators, we should also go in pace with that. So now it is imperative that we have to go ahead with the 21st century skills. And we are in a semi-urban area, and we have introduced coding, AI, etc. And this will differentiate our school from other schools. And also, when I came here, I understood about this particular brain wonders. So I have decided that I will be going ahead with this, your program. So this is another way of my marketing strategy. And I welcome you, sir, to my school.
Surely.
And we are having 1,800 students, and we have another IB board. It was a big challenge for me. It's a village, but we have started an IB school having 128 students at present. So we are not there in any social media. You don't find anything in our social media. We are not there in YouTube. But the quality education, what we provide, and the parent satisfaction, beneficiary satisfaction, that is most important. And we ensure that each and every child is our own child. That is the another marketing strategy adopted by us. I hope I answered you.
You're using my product. You're my favorite panelist. You can go 2 minutes faster. No, thanks. Is there anything else? Yep, it's done.
If you want, I can speak because
No,
we are
no.
teachers.
It will be unfair.
So anyway, I welcome you to my school. Definitely, we will go ahead with your program.
Thank you. I think it goes back to the fact that knowing your own potential and strengths and weaknesses as a child also helps. I think a similar SWOT report also has to be done for the school. Identify your own strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threat. And that's the way ahead. Finally, we have Mr. Arjit Ghosh from SATE MR Jaipuria group of schools. And your take, apart from all the other strategies which has been spoken, so you get the difficult question, slightly out of syllabus. But I'm sure you would be in a position to tell us that apart from all the collaborative efforts, reaching out backward, showing the future, what else can be done? What other strategy you think can work or has worked for you? Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Naidu. I think, yes, it is always a difficult question when you are at the last of such an erudite panel, when everything you jotted down that you would want to speak about, it's already been spoken.
Copy ho gaya.
Okay. So I will not repeat what has been spoken, but a couple of things I think I would like to elaborate, and also I would address what Mr. Naidu asked me. So I think we are a little background that we are a 43 school chain, primarily in tier 2, tier 3 cities of UP, and we have our presence in MP and Bihar as well. Now, one thing I would like to strongly talk about is understanding your core area, which has already been spoken by Devdutt and a couple of other people as well. So, what are your belief systems? How are you going to continue with that legacy? And it is not only about getting new admissions, but what is your narrative in order to retain students as well? So, I'll give you an example. For us, we are known by a progressive curriculum and a value based curriculum, which I'm so pleased to hear from Sir as well, being their focus area. So I'm very proud to say, and all our schools are extremely proud to narrate this to our parents, that the University of Berkeley recognizes us as one of the schools for the greater good of the world. So we are very, very honored and privileged to get this from University of Berkeley. So this is one of the focus area. We are one of these schools, I don't know, probably one of the few schools in the world who focus on Sanskrit from the pre-primary level.
Wonderful.
We teach Sanskrit from pre-primary level, and that is again one of the narrative which we share with our schools. We constantly focus on strong leadership because we believe that it's a strong leader who will drive a day-to-day operations of the school. and take along the teachers as well. So from the corporate office, from the head office, what we try and support our headships is do a brainstorming as to why your school is the school of choice. So on the same points to defining that. Some of the unique initiatives which we have taken over the years, something which we call internally and within our schools, it's called JOSH, JOSH. It's an acronym for Jaipuria Open Scholarship Hunt, where we bring in quality students and we are happy to provide scholarships to quality students who are coming in. We are also one of the schools, why I mentioned about progressive curriculum, we are one of the schools this year, keeping in mind what's being laid out, the national education policy, to start off with benchmark assessments, which is mentioned, and we have started off with grade 5 this year. Next year, we will be doing for grades 3, 5, and 8. And we are not doing once a year just to do a dipstick as to where they are. But what we are doing is we are doing a baseline at the beginning of the year and an end line at the end of the year so that we see the progress. And these are not only assessments 2 times a year, but in between, we are supporting students, we are supporting teachers to improve the quality of teaching learning process in the classroom. Again, a lot of insight happening in the classroom, which can be talked about as marketing strategy when we go out and speak to new parents, but it's one of the very important drivers to retain students as well. So that is what we are doing. Also, one of our huge focus areas is professional development of teachers. Every June, we have a program called Upskill, where 2,500 of our teachers participate together. They get an opportunity to interact and peer learn from each other. Our trainings are all pedagogy oriented, again focusing on progressive curriculum. So this is again one of the narrative which we provide to our parents, which also is used as one of the marketing strategy, that professional development is one of the focus areas of the school. Keeping in mind with the times and the changing times, and with after COVID, where a lot of students were finding it difficult to adjust into the school environment, we took that one step ahead forward. We anticipated that. And at the beginning of this term, we trained all our teachers on social and emotional learning. So, again, being ahead of the curve, understanding what is going to be relevant in over the years. So, understanding the dynamics, understanding what the market or the changing paradigm of education is all about, and taking that step as being proactive rather than reactive is probably a mantra which I would leave with all of you. And just to end with some small facts, we are currently 30,000 plus student strength. This year, right after the pandemic, we have crossed only for this year more than 8,500 student admissions, with very, very minimal student being moved out. So we have managed to retain about 98 to 99% of our students. And I think that's a huge achievement on the part of the school headships and the teachers, and the philosophy which we believe in, driving that on a day-to-day basis with the schools, the teachers, and the parents. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. As we come to the end of this brilliant, interesting, innovative strategy, I think what you have said is stay ahead of the curve, stay ahead of the time. Let us summarize the whole 45 minutes of discussion, starting with Seema ma'am and ending with Arjit ji. I think collaborate, get your preschools in, ensure that they are your feeders, create success stories through alumni, create videos, talk to them, get them back on board, let them talk about it, and then you promote your own success stories. Third, know your own DNA. I think that's one of the strongest point everybody has focused in, that know what you stand for and know where you started. Fourth, spend on teaching training, maybe probably send them across for some peer reviews, uh, ensuring that they don't move out of your school. That's a technique which should be used in. And we are in for a world where you have to be ahead of the curve. That's the mantra. We'll take two questions, one from a school owner, teacher, principal who has got a school in rural area and who would like to ask any query. When I say rural, it has been termed rural. It may not be rural because we know that the GDP comes from the B and C town cities. So rural is just a way of identifying non-metro cities. So if there is anyone who has any queries from non-metro cities, kindly raise your hand and we can have. Brilliant. I think all have got again. Anyone else wanting to ask any query? Sorry? All non-metros. Any query? Ma'am out there, kindly, can a mic move in there? Kindly state your name and the name of the place and the school as well. And also do let us know whom it is for.
I'm Mrs. Mona Chatterjee. I am coming all over from Hoshangabad, which is now known as Narmadapuram. It is near to Bhopal. And first of all, I am thank you to give me an opportunity for this platform today, for which we all have gathered here. And it was a very informative session in front of you, as you all were speaking. One of the questions I would like to ask that I belong to Hoshangabad, which is, as sir told, is having a rural touch. So I'm the owner of the school also. We are having 4 schools in Hoshangabad. I would like to connect with my parents very much. This point was being discussed right now. But the problems which I'm facing while connecting with the parents is that they always come to me for the fees. That is, apart from discussing the academic development of the children and the other issues, they would love to come to principal to discuss about the fees and concessions and all that. So I would just like to ask all the learned persons how it is, how we can deal with the problems.
Great. Anyone? And one query to that is identification of these fees post-COVID problem, or it has
No,
always
it
been
is
the
always
case?
actually
Been the case.
they want that, if we'll go to them, so the problem may get solved instead of going to the other persons who are dealing with the things. And with the span of time I'm thinking that is it good to entertain them for this purpose, or should I only call them for the academic development and all? This is a very big important thing. I'm having confusion regarding that.
Great.
Can I?
Yes, yes, please.
I think, ma'am, it's a wonderful question because we all of us face, and as heads, I think this is nothing new, whoever is sitting here. If you ask, frankly speaking, this is a concern and we have to address it. There is no way that we don't meet the parents, don't listen to them. That will not work. The strategy of marketing as such just goes. So first is you have to entertain. The second question, of course, in whichever way you want to explain it to them, entertaining them, understanding them is something which we have to think of. As heads of the institution, I think we are the last target. And coming to us, they feel that yes, a solution might be given to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Talking about why they don't come beyond this, like why only finances, I think that depends quite a lot. Once again, I would say on the story of the school, on the DNA of the school, on the connectivity of the teachers, the parents, even the guards. Everyone is responsible. If you have to keep trying, you have to please, in fact, reach out to them even if they don't reach out to you. I think that is very, very important. And it's not only the PEC or the Parent Teachers Association. We need to connect. Connectivity is something which is there, which has to develop now, because that's the best way to reach out to them. Give them, there are so many ways, to give the assessments, to talk to, call them sometimes only to say that your child is doing very good. Because most of the time, a child goes to the principal's office only when there is some discipline issue.
Yeah.
Parents are called. We need to change. We need to call best of the students, maybe the best of the parents. The parents can be our resources. We can utilize them because we have doctors, engineers, we have entrepreneurs. So they can be our resources to talk to the children, to address the classes. The child whose father is coming, she feels so great. She keeps telling the stories to everyone that today my daddy is going to address the school. I think these are various ways which all new schools are addressing. And when we reach out to them, they will definitely come to us. That's my
Yeah,
take.
definitely, ma'am. Actually, they are already coming, but how to make them understand that the school in which your child is studying, they are giving you all the facilities, so you do not think about the concessions what you require. We are giving you so many facilities, so try to avail it and don't think of little bit that is 4,000 or 5,000 rupees, and just pay it and get the best out of it.
So
Yeah.
I'll tell you how we do it, right?
Yes, sir,
So many
please.
of our schools are in the rural, district segment. So what we do is we introduce something called as, we had the same problem, right? About
Okay,
our
sir.
schools are about 35, 40, 45 का range में ही हमारे सारे
Okay.
schools जो rural में है, right? So जो senior schools हैं, जो जिसमें 91 लाख वाला fee structure वाला schools है, जो urban metros में है, उसमें problem नहीं आती है. Rural में problem आती है. Community connect, parent connect through the community, and Sarpanch connect. This is the answer for you. How you're going to do it? How we do it? We introduce something called as Ghar Ghar Shikshak, right? So what we did is we led our teacher community, right? We trained our teachers to connect to the student, to the parent at his home.
Okay.
So we formed a group of say about 7-8 teachers. We picked and we chose 7-8 teachers. We trained them how to do this connect. We made them go to a village. जिस घर में भी आपका बच्चा पढ़ता हो आपके स्कूल में, आप उस पेरेंट के घर जाइए, उसको उसके जो प्रॉब्लम एरियाज है उसको एड्रेस करिए, साथ में उसके पेरेंट के साथ एड्रेस करिए, और साथ में आसपास के जो बच्चे हैं जो प्रोस्पेक्टिव स्टूडेंट्स हैं आपके, उनको भी बुलाइए. Then also tell them what good the school does. So उसके आपके दो फायदे सॉल्व होते हैं. एक, the parent is given the due importance that the school is coming to you, मेरे बच्चे को स्पेशल केयर लिया जा रहा है. साथ में आसपास के लोगों को पता लग रहा है कि यार ये स्कूल इतना करता है क्या एक बच्चे के लिए. आज तक तो कभी देखा ही नहीं है कोई टीचर स्कूल में बच्चे के घर आते हुए.
Thanks, Mr. Krishnan. I am sorry to cut you off. I think your question has sparked off another 45 minutes of debate out here.
Okay.
And you could connect to them.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. This was a very nice
I think ma'am would
solution
want
out
to,
of it.
you have just a minute.
अभी तक पैनलिस्ट ने जो रिप्लाई दिया है वैसे वो बहुत ही परफेक्ट रिप्लाई है.
Yes.
बट अगर शॉर्ट में हम कहें तो एक ब्रेन वंडर्स वालों की वर्कशॉप लगा दीजिएगा, सभी पेरेंट्स पूरी तरह से मोटिवेट हो जाएंगे.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. And
Brain
thanks for
wonders-
giving me a lot of time, ma'am.
ब्रेन वंडर्स, आपके इस क्वेश्चन से ब्रेन वंडर्स के पास एक काम और आ गया है कि अभी सिर्फ बच्चों का नहीं करना है, अब पेरेंट्स का भी आपको करने के लिए
Yes.
सोचना है. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Shukriya. I think you have been one of the most disciplined panelists I have ever seen. Please clap for yourself. Please clap for them. They gave you precise queries. It has been great hosting it. Seema ma'am would want to connect with a Hindi quote to end it. Before that, I think we have all survived the COVID and we are here. And there is 4 more lines which I would want to say. For all your days, prepare and meet them ever alike. When you're on the anvil, bear, and when you're the hammer, strike. Thank you.
So this is to summarize the entire session, and rightly said that we have survived pandemic. All I want to say this, whatever we are doing is a part of marketing because we are our own brand. हर कोई रण में लड़े, ये असंभव सी बात है. हर कोई रण में लड़े, ये असंभव सी बात है. जो जहां है वहीं रह के देश की सेवा करे. हो चिकित्सक या हो शिक्षक, किसान या मजदूर हो, हर कोई काम अपना डूब कर ऐसे करे. कर रहा हो भक्त जैसे देव की पूजा मगन. माँ भारती की यही पूजा, देशभक्ति का चरम. If all of us do our work diligently, religiously, honestly, I think that is the biggest marketing for all our schools. Thank you so much.
A huge round of applause. Thank you so much. And as I said, I'll cut down all the sessions throughout the day. You know, I'm the villain for this event, as well as, you know, taking the time off of such amazing panelists. A huge round of applause for this amazing session. I think we try to bring one such topic in all our events where we talk, you know, unconventional uh, things related to the education sector. Whether it is marketing, we spoke about economies of scale when if I remember, you know, the last time where we were talking about how schools actually survive in the market. So thank you so much. Now, before I let you go, I would like to invite Dr. Vasudha Neelmani on the stage. Do we have Dr. Vasudha Neelmani on the stage here? Okay, we wanted to launch her book at this amazing juncture. Anyways, I request Mani sir to please give away the speaker tokens. To the amazing panel that we have in front of us. A huge round of applause. Taliyan rukni nahi chahiye. I think this is one of the most amazing sessions that we have seen in a long, long time. Dr. Seema Negi, who's the Director Principal, Sanjeevani World School. I'll quickly take names. Dr. Sushma Shirawat, President and CEO, Oasis Global School. Mr. Anirudh Sachdeva, Director, Holy Child Public School. Dr. Devidatta, CEO, Radcliffe Group of Schools. Mr. Ananta Krishnan, CEO, Operations Calorex Group of Schools. Dr. Suchitra Bhattacharya, Principal, Manav Rachna International School. Mr. Lakshya Chabria, President, Affordable Private School Associations in Delhi. Mr. B. Anil Kumar, Vice President, Sahodaya, Mumbai, also the Principal of Chinmaya Mission School. Mr. Arijit Ghosh, who is the AVP, New Academic Initiative, State MR Jaipuria Group of Schools. A huge round of applause. I still request all the wonderful panelists to please stay on the dais. I request all the panelists to please be on the stage. I request Dr. Vasudha Neelmani to please join us. We are launching books. Universal Mentors Association is all about giving back to the education fraternity. Last time we launched a really nice book written by Dr. Chandrasekhar DP from Hyderabad. Now I would like to invite a really, really renowned author now coming from the principal fraternity, Gratitude, the Purpose of Life. Deepak sir, I would also like to invite you to join us on the stage. And Mr. S.K. Singh, please join us on the stage for the official book launch of Gratitude, the Purpose of Life by Dr. Vasudha Neelmani. Universal Mentors Association and our complete organization is the epitome, the symbol of giving back to the society, giving back to the education sector. All the principals, if you have a key of writing, you can please share your initiatives with us. We would be more than happy to promote you. Dr. Vasudha Neelmani was also the editor-in-chief of our first launch edition of the magazine called Sourcing Education. A huge round of applause for Dr. Vasudha Neelmani. Congratulations, ma'am, for your wonderful book. We hope many more to come. So before we move further, I request Mr. Manish Naidu to please remain on the stage. We have few eminent personalities, uh, from the sector, from outside the education sector as well, that we would like to honor on this amazing platform. I would like to invite, first of all, Mr. Maroof Khan, who's the Managing Director, Scope Hospitals and Nanos Medicare Private Limited, to please join us on the stage. He's joining us as the guest of honor for the Universal Mentors Association's third Eduleaders Summit powered by Brain Wonders. Mr. Akhil Gupta, who is the MD of Fresca Juices. A huge round of applause for Mr. Akhil Gupta, who is the Managing Director of Fresca Juices. I think one of the most prominent brands of India, Fresca, has now become a huge round of applause. Now we have with us one of the newest additions of Universal Mentors Association's family, Dr. Rabia Bhatia, who is the founder of EdWeb Studios. A huge round of applause for Dr. Rabia Bhatia. I think one of the most prominent personalities out there. She's also a guest of honor, now a mentor. She will also be heading Universal Mentors Association's Global Peace Ambassador Program under its SDG initiatives. A huge round of applause for Dr. Rabia Bhatia. We also have with us Ms. Aarti Khosla, who's the founder and CEO of Center for Assessments of Excellence. Ms. Aarti Khosla, guest of honor. A huge round of applause. Dr. Ajay Rana, who is the Director General of Amity University. A huge round of applause. Last but not the least, Miss Madhu Aluwalia. She is the Senior Advisor of Quality Council of India. Huge round of applause for Miss Madhu Aluwalia. She is a management expert, trainer and educationist with more than 30 years of experience in the education domain. Presently, she is heading school vertical in the capacity of Senior Advisor at QCI since 2015. QCI is an autonomous body under Government of India. One of boards of QCI, which is working in domain of education, is National Accreditation Board of Education and Training, NABIT. QCI has been implementing the accreditation frameworks in schools since 2007. A huge round of applause for Ms. Madhu Aluwalia. Now, before we go ahead with our next session, we have a couple of awards to be given away. Announcing the best school group in North India. Any guesses? Satluj Group of Schools. A huge round of applause for Mr. Rikirit Sarai, who's the Managing Director of Satluj Group of Schools. I think they've done wonderfully well. I've been personally to their schools. And the next award is for the School Chain of the Year. I think this is a no-brainer. St. Emma Jaipuria Group of Schools. A huge round of applause.
Essa é minha amiga Fran, ela gosta de curtir, vai liada de manhã, ela bebe, fica alegre. Essa é minha amiga Fran, a minha amiga Fran, desce com o dedinho na boca, louca, 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 louca.
Thank you so much, sir, for this amazing panel, and we'll ask you, we'll need your presence further as well. Now moving on to our next session, I think we are already running half an hour late. For this one is a very, very important discussion where we talk about the early childhood education. You know, the restart post the pandemic, the latest trends and the future of early childhood education segment in the country. I would like to call on the dais, on the stage, Ms. Geeta Varshaneya, who is the Education Director, Sri Ram Group of Schools, who will also moderate the session. Can we have Ms. Geeta Varshaneya on the stage, please? A huge round of applause for Ms. Geeta. Dr. Nandita Prakash, who is the Education Advisor, Sri Ram Global Schools. A huge round of applause for Nandita Prakash, ma'am. Ms. Geeta Varshaneya, Dr. Nandita Prakash, Dr. Hema Harchandani, who is the MD and CEO of Canvas International Preschools. A huge round of applause for Hema, ma'am. She's joining us all the way from Jaipur. Mr. Chirag Agarwal, Founder and Director, Early Ventions Group of Schools. Mr. Abhishek Rathod, who is the CEO of Sanford Preschools. A huge round of applause for Mr. Chirag Agarwal, for Mr. Abhishek Rathod. Mr. Preetham Kumar Agarwal, who is the founder of Hello Kids, I think one of the largest preschool chains, you know, in South India, is Preetham sir. A huge round of applause. Dr. Manisha Sharma, Head of Schools, Venkateshwara International School. Dr. Manisha, are you here? Ms. Preeti Quatra, Founder, Director, Petal Schools. A huge round of applause for Preeti ma'am. Mr. TJ Gupta, Co-Founder and CEO, Bachpan and AHPS Group of Schools. And Mr. Harshit Bansal, who is the CEO of Abhinav Group of Schools. A huge round of applause for the stellar early childhood education panel. So, Ms. Geeta, we have close to 40 minutes for this panel. So, take the session away, ma'am.
Hello. A very good afternoon to the esteemed audience here. And we are looking into an area which is the most beautiful part of our lives, the childhood, the early childhood. And I think it is the most important phase of our life because our character, our beliefs, our values are made there only. The roots and the wings come in this age group. So I have a very, very learned panel here. And as Sir said that we have less time, so I would put up the question. My first question goes to Mr. Chirag Agarwal. Sir, you are the founder director, Early Vention Group of Schools. My question to you are, what are the changes in preschool policies and programs post-COVID?
Check. A very good afternoon to everybody, and really a wonderful question. I mean, we've seen other than changes in the past 2 years. What else have we seen? It's constant change happening in every aspect of early childhood education, or in general education, I should say.
I'm so sorry for forgetting a very, very important name in this amazing panel, Miss Sumita Malik, Head Early Years, Shiv Nadar School. Miss Sumita Malik, are you here? A huge round of applause for ma'am. Can we have one more chair here? Coming from the center.
Yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Chirag.
So, as I was mentioning earlier, change is the only thing that we've all seen as educators in the past 2.5 years. It's been change in terms of how we teach, change in terms of how things are done, change in terms of the policies, change in terms of the practices in preschools in educational institutions. So change has really been the only constant in the education industry, right? Uh, Talking about the pandemic as such, yes, of course, it was change for the good. A lot of new things came into picture. The EdTech, as we were talking in the panel in the morning, uh, grew massively. There's so much of uh, things like AR, things like somebody was telling about the metaverse that's started coming in. That there's so much of development happening. There's so much of development, and I personally feel that if COVID would have not come in, we would have somewhere got delayed with this development. So that's the positive side of it, being optimistic. Uh, but when it comes to the change, of course, it was very difficult. Initially, we did face a lot of hurdles in order to uh, understand and take those changes with in a challenging way. But so far so good. We've somehow accomplished it. Our teachers learned, we as educators learned, parents learned. Forget about all these three pillars, but also the children also went through so much of massive changes. Talking from the early childhood education perspective, we saw the youngest of the youngest 2-3 year old children adapt to online education, which was something which was unexpected. I mean, even if we look at that kind of a situation, definitely nobody would have ever thought that a 3-year-old would sit in front of a laptop screen and attend classes, uh, and make sense out of that learning which happens. So it's been a massive change in the entire industry, in entire how we used to function and how we are functioning. I feel that there's something going to be like it's going to be a situation wherein it's going to be like after COVID and before COVID. So there's nothing called before COVID that's going to come back. It's only after COVID. This is a new generation which is started. This is a new style of teaching, of learning, of delivering information that is come into existence. And yeah, it's going well. There is hybrid learning which has started coming in now. There are essences wherein children are coming for a couple of days to school, couple of days from home. Lot of new models have come in, and it's been a great learning for all of us. We as educators have evolved over a period of time. Any change, making sure that anything is mastered takes some time, but yeah, we've done it. So a big round of applause for ourselves as educators that we've somehow been able to achieve this.
Truly said that post-COVID is a different world, watershed years for educators, and we were thrown into it and we have thrived, I must say. For little ones, of course, it was easy to adapt than the adults. My question now to Dr. Manisha Sharma. Uh, what are major challenges being faced while restarting the on-site teaching and the process for the foundational years?
So, yes, there were so many challenges, I think. If I start, and each one of the educators, there are some very familiar faces I can see here, sitting here. And as head of the school, we are in the operations. We are not the policy makers or in the theory. We are in the operations, and we feel. To start with the challenges, first I'll tell, the first is a why. A for a wide gap of social and emotional skills. We all agree. See, elder children are there, they are grown-up children, fourth, fifth, they have their own milestones and challenges are there. But children, they have never seen the school. The very idea, those tiny tots, when they're just landing up, each one of them is a stranger. Can we imagine this? At the same time, we should have a lot of empathy, lot of preparedness, but we also want to firmly and with a lot of empathy where to draw the line. So they do not want to mix. They do not want to sit. They do not have the space. They think the one fit by one, that is their place. So this is a very, very important part of social, emotional. They don't mix. And the second thing is about, I'll say, elimination communication. Those children, when I say elimination communication, the children who are coming, they're not able to express that they want to go for their urination or something like that. And each one of, again, I say, sitting here must have faced the problem initially in April. Now we are getting over it. How many diapers are there? Have we ever thought our children are coming in diapers to the school? So this is a very, very important thing. Third thing, also in their fine motor skills. Children were not doing anything. Either their parents, they are working in the multinational company, or they were household wife, they were working there, where they have time to make children work with on their gross motor skills or fine motor skills. There was no place for fine motor skills. Always a child was either with mobile phone or with talking to mom and dad. Hardly the time was there. There was no play time. So unless until these tiny tots have those very fine motor skills, they have been practiced, certainly they will face problem. That is why when they're coming, there's a lot of challenge related to pre-writing skills. I'm not saying writing exactly, but pre-writing skills. Their nerves, they are not able to even walk. I have seen some of the children, they have even the walking, they are not able to walk. They do not have stamina. And another challenge which is there in terms of parents. Parents are over protective. There is not a place, the school is not the place where the parents fraternity and the school is one against the other. We are working in tandem for the well-being of our children, but somewhere instead of taking care, they forget, ma'am, please take care of my children, ma'am, don't say this loudly. Children, the moment even the slightest loudness is there, children are scared. So all these social, emotional, cognitive level, all challenges are there. But what is the way forward? I think the first thing which we all do as school heads, we need to educate parents. As we spend time and money on teachers, it is equally important to spend time and money on parents also. Unless until they are aware what is fine motor skill, what is gross motor skill, what is pre-literacy skill, वो कहेंगे आज मैडम कुछ भी काम नहीं दिया. Even it is elitist school, they need to know the importance of so many activities. They need to understand that so many things. So this is very, very important to spend considerable amount of time, whatever you have a vision at place in your school. Like my vision of the school is innovation, empathy, and responsibility. That is what I want to embed and integrate right from the beginning in my children, even if they are entering at the entry level. So this is very, very important. The parents need to be empowered as teachers. And along with this, we need to really with lot of empathy and responsibility. And I can only say this too shall pass. That's the only thing. We have improved from April to May, now in July, and I think the road is going to be smooth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manisha ma'am. I think this is a very important thing that we all must convey to parents, that pre-writing skills come only when children do a lot of work with hands. The eye-hand coordination comes. And it is household work also. And play is definitely the highest form of research. So we need to encourage them to play with different toys, especially wooden toys if possible. My next question to Sumita ma'am. Is it fair to educate the millennials in the same manner as the predecessors? You can take mine.
Thank you. I think it's a very, very important question. And I think one of my fellow panelists was also talking about educating the parents. I think that's the only thing what we should do. We should just educate parents and the children will learn on their own. That's what I very truly feel and believe. However, when we look at the reality is changing and has changed. We all know that. So it's very important for us to look at um, education to also keep evolving. And we are very happy to know and happy to see that new education policy has started thinking about early childhood. It is really looking at bringing new changes in the education sector, which is really good. Now, when we look at our children, they are very aware. And what is the education, what we are bringing to them is the age old what we were all as adults also we were taught the same thing what we are bringing now as well. So it's very important for us to see that each learner is learning at their own pace. We saw during the pandemic that's what was happening, and the child was comfortable in their own in their own scenario in their homes, and they were learning at their own pace. We know there are different kind of learners, so why not look at education as a personalized education plan for every learner to learn at their own pace, at their own in their own way. If there is a kinesthetic learner, why not have that learner learn in that manner? However, it's very important for us to also look at metacognition. It's very important for us to understand that these are the learners who are going to be future leaders of our country. And we know in whatever we are going to be bringing in the early years is going to stay with them. So why not make them thinkers? Because those people who were able to think out of the box during the pandemic now are able to succeed in their fields. So it's very important for us to look at that. And yes, technology is also there. So we must look at giving exposure of technology, but how much is too much is something very important for us to also understand. And also when we are talking about education, what we are or what we should bring to our learners, what one of my fellow panelists was also sharing, the social emotional aspect, we know that's the huge need now. But it's very important for us to make our learners understand about inclusion, diversity, and because these are the children who are going to go in the real world and they will bring that change. These are the children who should know how to take care of the environment. So the curriculum needs to be like that. The pedagogy needs to be in a way where they are able to uh, soil their hands with reality, and the assessment needs to be the way they are learning rather than in just one single manner. And we know that even UNESCO has come out with a suggestive revisioning plan 2030, which is also talking about personalized educational plans for each learner. So we just hope that we are able to do that. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sumita. I think this was one eye opener for everybody during COVID. we could see that all children learn at different speed. And it became so foolish for us to expect that the whole class will learn at the same pace. I think one of the very important things which we as educators have now to think, that we talk of differential teaching and learning, but how can we actually bring it about in schools and classrooms? And of course, metacognition, I think thinking, if it comes early in life, then you really have done it. You don't have to do much in middle years and senior years if they are thinkers. And inclusion and diversity is something to be celebrated at that level. Sustainability is something that they'll breathe in and out every day. So we need to bring in, whether in content or pedagogy or assessment, definitely. Thank you, ma'am. That was brilliant. I'll address Mr. Tijay Gupta now. And the question to you, now we are talking of what all should be done at pre-primary level. So what are the kind of teachers that we need at pre-primary level to deliver all this? And very difficult to find. So please define that.
Good afternoon, everyone. To keep it simple, in one of my webinars, I termed my teacher to be a Durga Mata kind of avatar, where she has multiple 7, 8 hands with one tab in one hand, one smart pen another hand, with a smart device in something other, with a mouse on another hand. So I think the future is for those kind of teachers which are technology friendly, which can operate, of course, multiple things at any point of time. So we all are from earlier industry, and believe me, last pre-COVID, last 10, 12 years, I've not seen anything happening in this sector. The same kind of curriculum is going on, same Montessori tools everybody is using. I think 50, 80, 100 odd tool everybody is installing. But thanks to COVID, something new has come up. Fortunately, we have new education policy in between also. It's been implemented maybe 10%, 15%. But at least we have realized that now technology is a way to take forward. So 2 days back, I met one of a guy who came for an interview for a driver. He just a simple thing, sir, give me 2,000 rupees extra rather than giving me something which you are giving to a regular driver, because I know how to operate Google. I said, what is the logic behind it? He said, sir, you have 8 drivers, everybody has a smartphone. Ask who can take you to Nehru Palace, Heroes Hotel. I can take it to you. You don't need to check the map. Just be dependent on me. So what I'm trying to say, the time which has come, which is erupted now, is only for the technology. Same way, we need teachers who are completely technology backed up, who are completely technocrat. And we as a school are training our teachers for the basic IT education, for using the basic skills. We are still taking online classes at least once in a month, twice in a month, so that if something comes up in future, at least we should be that ready. So I think this is the future of teacher, which I see as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think teachers have to use smart boards in class and use a lot of digital strategies. That's true. One thing that I would like to add, can't help myself from adding it, sir. I think teachers at pre-primary level must love children. They must love to be with the kids, because only then they reach out to them and go that extra mile. So when we are recruiting teachers for pre-primary, we always look in whether this female or male likes to be with the kids and has the patience and compassion for them or not. Yes, but I think technology is here to stay. My next question to Mr. Abhishek Rathore. Communication and confidence, two of the very important 21st century skills, can be embedded in early years only. How?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. So, what I feel with this topic, it is not entirely true. Having said that, of course, we have experience in early years. We are always around little ones. What I feel, जब हम बड़े हो जाते हैं तो माँ बाप क्या बोलते हैं? They say success के लिए क्या चाहिए? You need confidence, right? And the confidence starts itself from the early years, because as everybody knows that till 5 years 90% of the brain develops, and during that time it is very important to understand, to have that sort of confidence and communication skills in our little ones. How can we achieve that? So what I personally feel that our parents and our teachers, of course they're doing it, but we need to understand one thing. The major thing is, uh, they should be heard. You should know them. And how would you get to know them? You need to communicate with them, you need to talk to them, you need to listen to them. And there are some personalities which are introvert, there are some personalities which are extrovert. You can clearly see that in children. But I personally feel that uh, like in our classroom, we have what, 18 to 20 kids, and we have 2 teachers. So in 3 to 4 hours, you cannot know all the students. Having said that, I personally and my team personally takes care of all the kids, that we sit with them, we talk to them, and we understand that what their problem is, or what situation are they going through. Because ultimately, if they would have confidence in them, they'll have the ability to learn. Confidence is straight away, you can say, I mean, it goes on their self-esteem. So I feel that if a child is looking himself or herself in the mirror, they should be confident enough, and then only they'll be able to learn something, right? So, and of course communication is something that teachers uh, are doing wonderfully, and the technology that we have, so that is also happening. But to actually listen to them, what they actually want to say, what they want to communicate through their actions, through their words, and what all is happening in their home, they also tell us that, right? So you should have that sort of a comfortable environment. You should create that comfortable environment. And of course we should everybody should around, we should have some sort of a, you can say, uh, some sort of restrictions, that parents also should not talk that we cannot. This word I can't, वो उनके दिमाग में नहीं होना चाहिए. First 5 years, I can and I will. That should be your motto. That should be the motto of the parents and the teachers. And you should be a good listeners, because ultimately, and you have to also communicate it to them that agar communication is not just that you are speaking. Communication is something that you are listening. If the child has told you something, then you have to tell him or her that yes, this is my response to this certain thing. So उसको जो है और ज़्यादा आप listening is something I feel that in generation Z is lost. So I believe that yes, these 3 things are very important: to know the child, to have a good communication skill, so you need to be more available, and to let them know that yes, there is somebody to listen to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think self-esteem is so important in building the confidence. And this is what we as educators have to do, that we have to let the child know that I know the good in the child, that you are good in this, you are so wonderful. And let them all know that they are unique creatures of the world. There's no other Gita Vashne, so it's the same for them. So it's something so important in early years. And communication is two-way, absolutely no doubt about it. So I think circle times do a great job there, where the listening and communication builds up. Thank you so much, sir. I now go to Mr. Harshit Bansal. And my question to you, which has been actually answered somewhat by others, but it is a question. How much of technology in early years? How much?
Good afternoon, everyone. Technology has been the talk of the town since the past 2 years. We've been repeatedly talking about technology, technology, technology. But quoting Sumita ma'am once again, how much is too much, right? See, we as schools, maybe it is a preschool or a formal school, we are data rich, but we are analysis poor. So dividing the technology into 2 parts. usage for the child, direct intervention with the child for technology, and usage of technology for the teacher. So if a teacher is using the technology to analyze the child on certain levels of maybe assessment, maybe other things as well, that should be incorporated in the school structure 100%. While we talk about the technology direct incorporation with the child, in that arena, what I feel is that maximum restriction should be there. While we're on the topic in the first point of discussion, that pre-writing skills happen only when the child is able to do with the hands. It doesn't come with this. It is not going to come with this. So until and unless he uses that grip, he forms that grip, we have a lot of time. The child has a lot of time to be exposed to technology as much as he wants to. But those early foundational years, let's just restrict that child. There's one thing that I have observed in the past 2.5 months of operations after schools have opened up. The children between the age group of 2 to 3, 3 to 4, which we call playway and preschoolers, they have a very deficit in attention span. And why it has occurred, according to my understanding, since the 2 years the child was at home, he was in a remote surrounding, in his room, in his drawing room, in his living room, without his peers being present over there, without any instruction manual being given to him. He was the master of his own will. Mama, I have to watch some cartoons. Mama is busy, father is busy. Okay, beta, you do go and do that. Now, when the child has come back to school, the technology has been swept away. His attention span is not there. And till the time his attention span is back into the classroom, we provide one teacher over 10 students, we provide two teachers over 15 students. The teacher will not be able to do its job. Because until and unless that attention is there, teaching will not happen. So for the teacher, yes, use as much as technology you want, but restrict the child, restrict the exposure of the child to technology. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Beautifully said, sir. I think in the early years, please give a big round of applause to that. In the early years, we need to use the five senses for learning. We need to develop those. Otherwise, they are, stunted for life. So I think that's a very important thing. And teachers have to use technology. They have to do a lot of analysis and use it as a tool. Beautifully said, sir. Thank you so much. I'll now ask Dr. Hema Harchandani. Yes, and ma'am, what is the impact of the national education policy on the pre-primary?
Good afternoon, everyone. See, we have seen now the changes happen, and I'm thankful to the government have accepted early childhood education formally in the syllabus or the curriculum, and put it on the eye on that, because I think most of the early childhood educators who are sitting here for last so many years trying and going back to the ministry saying, okay, why you're not recognizing us, because we always feel like a felt we are not there. So thanks to, I think this is a new thing has come up, and which is very good, 5-3-3 plus 2. So that's helping us. And the earlier we used to start with the 6 years onwards, when the child exactly start from the grade 1. And if you go for a tier 2, tier 3 town, there is no progress in specifically early years. I understand sitting in a Delhi or in a Mumbai or a Bangalore, working parents, they and the preschools are very famous and very flamboyant kind of thing. But if you go for a next level of the towns, you start feeling that thing. Okay, 2 years, who will go to the school? Specifically because I come from the Rajasthan, where you have a joint families, where dadi nanis are more involved and say, no, the child is only 2 years or 3 years, should not allow to the preschool. So thanks to that happen, because now parents are serious about the 3 years education, or the 4 years child to actually move into the schools. So this is a one fantastic way. And the grade 1, when the child's formally school started, as the recent change happened, the 1 and 2 also moved into the earlier program, which is also required, because the when the preschooler moved to the suddenly to the main primary school, and where you have a huge walls, huge big school, the child will actually, scared, moving from the small preschool to, just moved in a huge,
Even the furniture changes.
yeah, everything changed. So, the child felt like, okay, where I am, this is a something, different. I'm moving from India to UK. Something like happened that way. So I think that's major change. It's good for specifically the K-12 school as well, because they also move and, adapt the entire curriculum and the pedagogy of the early years. That's a good part has happened. So I look forward. It's a wonderful thing. And the teachers training, and I honestly believe still the teachers training program in the earlier childhood should be mended, just like a UAE has done. You should have a license to run or the teach early your this thing, because we are missing the teachers. We are all missing one thing. I assure you, all of us are struggling for the good teachers. And the day one will be going ahead and saying, yes, we have a license. I have a license to run or maybe the teach. I think the quality will improve. So thank you. Still 70% accepted. I'm looking for the teachers training for coming session. So thank you. That's what I look forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, the connect to grade 1 and 2 has made it very, very effective. I think the care will continue. And I think some of the good schools had this. They were having their junior wing till 2, and then middle, and then senior, 3 to 8 kind. But that was needed. And then recognition, of course, that early year education is important. And it should also be monitored and supervised, and follow certain rules and regulations like the other education. So I think that will bring in a lot of change and a lot of improvement in standards of early education in all over the country, I think. Yes, thank you, ma'am, for that. Teacher training, of course, has to be brought into fold and made compulsory. Yes. My next question to Mr. Preetham Agarwal. And sir, do we need to do any changes in the curriculum at pre-primary to make them future ready now?
Thank you for this question, ma'am. Very good afternoon. And let me give you my 16 years of experience into this. When I was starting my career as a preschool owner, I went to one of my guru and said, "Sir, I'm going to start a preschool." And he said, "Why you want to start a preschool?" So, sir, I want to know how a child moves from early years to a college level, right? And he gave me one mantra, I'll tell you. And this is where he said, the mango will always remain mango, it will never be a guava. An apple will always be an apple, it will never be a banana. So your curriculum is not going to change. Your numbers from 0 to 10 or 0 to 20 will remain in the preschools. The same 10 set of animals or fruits and vegetables will remain same, but we need to understand something called education and knowledge. You are there to impart education, but you cannot impart knowledge within the small young child who will not be able to speak even 2 lines when they are reaching to the classes, because they are not going to sit in the chair for even 30 minutes. So you cannot imagine a curriculum for a young child who is coming to you at 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 years, and now after pandemic, even a 6-year child, a child who is 6-year-old coming to LKG or UKG, a parents wants to come and say that my child is not able to recognize A to Z, these 26 letters also. So let's not talk about a curriculum which is very bounded to these early years. As Abhishek said, as Hema is talking about teachers training, we need to talk about that part. Communication. A child who is not able to speak 3 lines and you have a curriculum structure to finish it in next 200 days. Friends, let me give you an example of this, which is I have studied it very understanding of this time when it comes to early years. Early years schools are for 2 to 3 hours. Out of 3 hours and 200 days, it's not 365 days, friends, it's 200 days of a school. Out of 200 days, a child is absent for 20-25% of days because the child is too young, grandparents at home, holidays extended, weather is not good, early morning, wake up late, school is not there. 150 days the child goes to a school for 3 hours. Out of 3 hours, crying, in, out, food, cleaning, toilet goes half of the time. And remaining 1 hour, a teacher is taking care of 15 children. A child gets 4 minutes a day from the teacher. 200 days, 800 minutes, which is almost like 20 to 30 hours a year a child gets in terms of curriculum. And we are here talking about a curriculum, pedagogies, early years, and this thing, friends, it will not work. Communication. Let's understand the child. Let the child play. We do not have the curriculum for this year for the first semester, what do you call as the quarter. April, May, June, July, August, there will be no curriculum in preschool right now. Let the child comes. Somebody said, every faces is new after this pandemic. They do not have that attention span. And when we are talking about communication, rather than we go and speak to them about our curriculum, let's listen to them what they know about it. I'm talking about an example called apple, right? APPLE apple, color the apple, trace the apple, cut the apple, make an art and craft. That's it. Can we go beyond that? Right? A child has had apple with a whole apple. He has cut into pieces. Somebody has peeled it. Somebody has seen it and there's a green apple or a red apple. He has seen it in a fruit shop. He has seen it in a vegetable shop. Let the child talk what he knows about apple. Right? This is where we are talking about. That communication is required rather than I teach them apple. Let find out what he said. And trust me, I asked a small child. He said, what you had in the morning? He said, ice cream. December month, Jammu Kashmir, Jammu as a school, early morning I asked a child and he said it is ice cream. He was not wrong. He was not wrong. As soon as food comes into his mind, it was ice cream. He loves ice cream. Right? He was not lying. He had ice cream last night. But as soon as food, for him it is ice cream. Party means ice cream. So we need to understand it is not that ABCD what we are expecting in the preschool premises. Let him play. Preschool is play. Let him play for that 3 hours he is coming. And for that, somebody said, let's educate the parent. Don't expect this A to Z, all these 26 letters, at least in playgroup. Let him take 2 years up to the nursery level. Let him have that body language. Now, if you see this, the body language of the children has changed. They are not able to play freely in their preschool premises. At the earlier pre-pandemic, we used to see a lot of running kids, but now kids don't want to move. Let's talk about that curriculum kind of thing rather than ABCD, right? So I can talk on this, but thank you so much for this question.
Great, sir. I think the importance of play is undermined at home as well as in schools, and I think we should start with educating parents about that. And I had an experience of a parent coming to my school and saying we left that school because they were not doing any worksheets and extra work, not giving any homework, and I was aghast. And I said, okay, you're in for a shock because, we don't know what we do here. Thank you so much, sir. Moving on to Dr. Nandita Prakash. Ma'am, if you would throw some light on the kind of pedagogy that should be followed in early years.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected panelists, I'm really proud to be a part of this amazing discussion because, the way it is building up is so interesting. Thank you to everybody who's present here because today what we're discussing here, you're all school heads. You're all either you have your own schools or you're heading schools. So this discussion is very important, what we discuss here today. I would agree with you and Preetham sir that, we are talking about preschoolers here. Digital engagement is very important, but I think most of the researchers, they unanimously say just one thing, that at this age, the maximum screen time that a child should have is just 1 hour. Anything above that, it's proven anything above that is damaging. But that 1 hour is not just a screen time where the child is using an app to play some game or some interactive quiz or some school homework or even interacting with their own relatives. So it's everything combined into 1 hour, right? What do they do in the rest of the time that they have? During COVID times, let's say COVID times were different. You were running a race in 2020, 21, and you fall in the middle of the race, you get injured, and then your strategies change. Now your strategy is to run and complete the race and not to win the race. This is 2022. This is a different race altogether, right? So in this race, we can't be crippling. So the old strategies won't work. The new strategies will have to be wherein let's identify. So we have unanimously identified the areas where the children are lacking these days. The linguistic skills have improved, but the number sense, the socio-emotional development of these children has majorly suffered. The psychology of the child has changed. You speak to any psychologist in your city and you would know, you'll have the insight of what kind of cases they are getting. Attention deficit disorders are definitely there, but the children are also bending towards depression. They are not able to sit for long hours, they are not able to concentrate on activities. What do we do about that? We, as Indians, we keep looking towards Scandinavian countries to get an influence. So let me share an example of how they are bringing up a movement and how it is benefiting everybody else. So there's a concept called a forest school. If you must have heard of it, or you can look it up. Now, it is, you will find a lot of similarities between what our old Gurukul structure was, right, and what they are developing now. So what happens in this case is the child is out in the forest, right? They're naturally healing. Now, if you go for a digital detox for 48 to 72 hours, you go to a retreat place, you connect with the nature, you sit there without the devices, you do yoga, meditation, be with the nature, and you detox in 72 hours, right? This is what is happening to children. This is what is required. A digital detox is required. So these forest schools provide a learning space for the children where they're getting closer to the ecosystem. They're naturally healing. They'll get back to their natural self, and that is where we have to start again. So instead of running forward, we have to stop and see where we are lacking, bring these children back to their original milestone, and then move forward. Right? So this is the trend that is coming up that has influenced North America, it has influenced England as well. And now parallel to this, even Japan is also, they also have a similar concept running around. So why can't we? Why are we still stuck with digital engagement? Right? Especially, I understand metro cities don't have a place where you can involve children in doing gardening and all that. I understand that restriction, though we still, invest in those kind of setups. But what about tier 2 and tier 3 cities? Why are we rushing towards becoming metros? Why can't we utilize our green spaces and involve our children in bringing this change?
Wonderful, ma'am. I think detox is needed not only by the early years children, but by all of us. And when we know it is needed, I think the pedagogy used should be, we have a theme in our school this year, learning from nature. So I think things like that would definitely, bring changes, because we know children have forgotten to observe the tree and say whether it is westerly or easterly flowing. So they have to learn. There's so much to learn from nature. Thank you, ma'am. Wonderful that was. And now my last panelist, Preeti ma'am, Ms. Preeti Quatra. Do we stick to the same old preschools where we have classrooms, where we have a play area? Do the infrastructure need a change? Do we think of different learning spaces now? Your take on that, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody is fresh and awake, or are we waiting for a hot lunch? I'm the last panelist. You need to give me your 2 minutes, right? Because this is one of the most interesting panel, and we all are very passionate about early childhood. I hope till from last half an hour you all can see, observe, and sink in, right? So first of all, congratulations to each panelist that everyone has taken one of the very important point. Like communication is important, teacher training is important, and lot more. I think everybody has penned down something or the other. All this is possible once we change the mindset, the way we take our children. And your infrastructure point comes in that. Because our whole motto is the child should grasp the knowledge, and we are able to engage the child, then only the child is able to learn. Unless and until the child is not engaged and enrolled with the teacher or the person who is attending the child, learning is not possible. So now the children from last 2 years, more than 700 days, they were inside the 4 walls or 4 rooms where they were only looking at their parents and grandparents. So I think so it is going to be a torture if teacher will take a circle time in the classroom. It's a torture. Right? We all have that much space outside where we can take at least 15 students at a time. So teacher can take circle time under the tree. And it is going to be a fully natural air conditioned. We can answer our parents that rather than air conditioned, this natural climate is required and weather is needed for a child. I think we all can take some time, lunch time outside on a mat and a sun. We all can, we have splash pool, we have sand pit in our everybody, in everybody's school. But still, outside world teaches us a lot. We don't need to demolish the classes. We only need to demolish the barriers which we have in our mindsets. Right? You can teach a lot more things. I think a school tour is going to be very interesting for a little one once you are coming out of the class. So I think infrastructure or demolishing wall is not important. We need to remove barriers. We cannot complain. I think after such a long period when schools are open, parents want to send their children despite learning. They want to get rigged off. 3 hours is a me time. Whenever mothers come for the admission in a kindergarten, this is, "Ma'am, 3 घंटे अभी आपकी अमानत है." Right? We can sense what she's saying. She's not asking for ABC. She's not asking for a worksheet, you know. So I think now for a teacher, apart from well-trained or a certified teachers, we need a passionate teachers. We don't want females, those who just want to do time pass for a half day. This generation actually need a passionate caregivers, a passionate facilitators who understands kids mindset, who understand their responsibility that we are building the future. These children have immense potential. Each child is very confident. If you can recall our childhood, we were not that confident in our childhood, but environments, circumstances, and our mentors and the facilities which we have got, opportunities which we have, makes us what we are. This is what our children requirement is. I think we all are running a very good school. If we come together, demolish our mental barriers, and we all come together and say, yes, we are building the future, everything will fall in place. Curriculum, pedagogy, and all these ABC and 1 to 100. I'm sure one child will learn in April, another child will definitely learn in August. Right? Nowadays, concept of backbenchers and nalayak, naughty, these are all has been old school thoughts. Most naughty children are most good leaders. Yes. How many of you agree with me? Right. And those who are able to play, good games, lawn tennis, badminton, they are very good logical thinkers, physical developer, sports coach. So it's a time that we should respect each child uniqueness. We should remove our barriers that if this is learning this, other child should or must learn that. Now, this should not be the thought. I think leaders must have. So this is from my side. See, we don't need to demolish the infrastructure wall. We need to demolish the barrier which we have in our mindset. Thank you for this.
Absolutely, the mental infrastructure needs change and renovation. I think this has been a great experience for me personally. Any questions from the audience, please? Yes, ma'am.
COVID period started, the moment the child came to the school back, he is in class 1 or 2. Parents, I can't say that parents have not taken pains during COVID period for teaching them online, but I must say that online is hardly 20 to 30% knowledge gaining for the children. Whatever they learn here in the school is entirely different. We are facing the problem that they don't know how to write how to start writing the alphabets well, and they are in class 1. So I think to bridge that gap, we should really forget about the curriculum. We should really forget about our own strategies, the way we were teaching before pandemic time. We have to sit with the teachers as per each and every child's requirement. We have to set the classroom, not curriculum, I must say, planning for the classroom. And
Absolutely,
that is
ma'am.
a real big problem
Yes.
we are facing these days.
You rightly pointed, it is a massive problem, and we are all have to go that extra mile and fill up all the learning gaps. Here, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. If there is any extra suggestion for to bridge this gap, kindly come up.
Ma'am, the villain is back. I'm so sorry. We are already half an hour late. Uh, I surrender. Hands up.
Yes,
Sir, I'm
ma'am,
so sorry.
please.
I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I
ma'am,
just,
please.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll just ask. I'm basically I'm a child psychologist, so I can see what you're getting at. But I think what we mean by preschoolers is below kindergarten, and you just it is really the child just walks and does what he or she wants to do. It's learning by experience, like the Reggio and all that system. At that time, the ABCs and the all this doesn't come below kindergarten. You learn by doing. So actions by doing, and these are formative years, and basically they're not. You don't call them teachers; they're facilitators with the children. That's what just wanted to say, because this is now the new learning spaces are becoming very important, and of course, parents here want ABC when their child is 1, but that's not going to happen. You are actually spoiling you are actually ruining the kid's mental capacity. That's all.
Do I have the permission for just
Thank you.
2 things
Yes, sir.
over here? The permission of all, because I know we're waiting for lunch. It's my experience that I would like to just share with you all. And been into this for quite some time, especially with the kindergartens, the preschoolers, like just man spoke about, and being a psychologist, no? And that just make a difference. The mother is the first teacher and shall always remain a first teacher. That's where schooling begins. And we are the second teachers. And that is why it becomes more important for us, like some of you did talk about educating the parents. Like what I had done in my school and I've been doing abroad, and now I'm back to India after 14 years.
Sir, I'm so sorry.
Just a moment, just a moment, sir. We had 16 sessions that a kindergarten parent had to attend when an admission took place. And those 16 sessions were basically for them to understand what really schooling is and what the role of a parent is in helping the cause in what we are talking about education in the true sense. If you can fulfill that really, I think you will be doing a wonderful job, because preschooling, formative years is the platform. And that's why we need to really work as education, because we are all sitting over here. We are leaders, we are promoters, we are educators, we are panelists and so on, but we need to start thinking on those levels and start making a difference. And especially you that give us these platforms, take this further, because that is what will help the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. And I think that was wonderful. And a whole lot of us would want your phone number, sir. 16 sessions, ready-made. Would like to take that. Thank you so much for
Thank you
giving
so
us
much,
this
ma'am.
time. And thank you all the beautiful panelists.
I would now like to invite Mr. Manish Naidu to please join us on the stage. Thank you so much to the moderator, Ms. Geeta Varshnaya, Education Director, Sri Ram Global School. Was the session good or bad, or तालियों से बताओ ना. If this session was good, then you should clap for the most amazing speakers. Dr. Nandita Prakash, Education Advisor, Sri Ram Global School. A huge round of applause. Dr. Hema Harchandani, MD and CEO, Canvas International Preschools. Mr. Chirag Agarwal, Founder Director, Early Ventions Group of Schools. Mr. Abhishek Rathod, CEO, Sanford Group of Preschools. Ms. Sumita Malik, Head Early Years, Shivnadar School. Dr. Manisha Sharma, Head of School, Venkateshwara International School. Ms. Preeti Quatra, Founder Director, Petal School. Mr. TJ Gupta, Co-Founder and CEO, Bachpan and AHPS Group of Schools. A huge round of applause. Mr. Harshit Bansal, CEO, Abhinav Group of Schools. A huge round of applause. So how many of us want lunch immediately after this session? I'm sorry, I'm the villain again. We are still going. We have a couple of awards to be given away. Mr. Preetham Agarwal, founder Hello Kids, a huge round of applause. मैम का तो सबसे पहले लिया था नाम मिस गीता वार्ष्णेय. सर गीता मैम. Thank you everyone for such an amazing panel. A huge round of applause. Requesting Manish Naidu sir to please stay back. We have a couple of awards. Brain Wonders are, the presenting partners of Universal Mentors Association's third Eduleaders Summit and Awards 2022. So our next award is for Sanford Niti Khand for innovation in early learnings. A huge round of applause for Sanford Group of Preschools. Sanford Niti Khand, a huge round of applause. Can we have some music, please? Now, this is the first of a kind of an award that we are presenting to Mr. Sandeep Soni, who is the salesperson of the year in education technology space. A huge round of applause for Mr. Sandeep Soni. I think Quest has done wonderfully well under his leadership in the north and the west of India. Can we now have on the stage Ms. Zeba Ayaz? We are awarding her with the Shiksha Gaurav Puraskar. Do we have Zeba Ayaz, ma'am? Professor Dr. B. Sendil Kumar, Excellence in Leadership in Education. Do we have Professor Sendil Kumar here? Okay, next up is the award for St. Thomas School Dwarka for innovation in STEAM education. St. Thomas School Dwarka. India's leading play school chain, Canvas International School. A huge round of applause.
No pagode, no baile funk, ela desce rebolando com seu jeito instigante. É no pagode, no baile funk.
Now, before I let you go, we have some special guests that we want to welcome. Mr. Anjul Agarwal, who's the founder, Delhi Public School, HRIT. A huge round of applause. To Shri Anjul Agarwal ji, who's the founder of Delhi Public School, HRIT. Can we also have Ms. Vaishali Agarwal, MD, Delhi Public School, HRIT campus, join us as the guest of honor. Calling up next, Ms. Aarti Khosla from Center of Assessments for Excellence. More than 15,000 schools are associated with her across India. Huge round of applause for Ms. Aarti Khosla. So now we open for lunch and we'll be back by 2:45. A half an hour quick lunch to all the wonderful speakers, all the wonderful principals out here. 2:45 will be back.